Okay, so welcome in everybody. We still have, hey Ari, hey Nicole, um, everybody filing on in. How's everybody? How was everyone's week? Come on in, come on in, come on in. He said, I'm glad I made it. I am glad you're here too, Glitter Brat. I'm glad you're here too. Good morning, Brittany. Good morning. Hey, Adrian. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our community space. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our community space. As always, we are scheduled for about an hour, but y'all know once the train gets going, it gets kind of, hey, Willie, it gets kind of, a little bit longer than an hour sometimes. Hey, Scouty. See, I've been waiting all week for this. Nicole said, busy week trying to get caught up with some of the readings. Hey Nicole, you do the best that you can, right? And that's the magic and the beauty of video. You can jump in that playlist and you can catch up whenever, if you're walking around, just throw it on play and do your thing. But definitely glad to have you here, Nicole, and glad to see you in the comments. You as well, Scouty. We have these conversations, throughout the week anyway in the comments. Oh yeah, a Stone Silver. It is afternoon on the East Coast. I totally forgot about that. Because I'm on the West Coast, so it's still morning out here. I have my pineapple juice here ready to go and everything else for today's discussion. So that and my almonds. I love almonds. But in any case, all right. So let's get to it. Let's see. Okay, J to the G. Hey, J to the G. How you doing? Good to see you. Okay, I've been talking about whiteness is property all week to white people. Well, yeah. I mean, it is a conversation to be had, right? Good afternoon, me to Nicole. Sometimes I'm slow because I'm rereading, trying to understand better. Yeah, and I will say this about whiteness as property, right? Whiteness as property, Scouty and Nicole, every time I read that article, and I have read that Harvard Law Journal article quite a few times, every single time I read it, I get something else. So it's like when I was teaching it this week, it was really hard trying to keep it to the core concepts. It's like, oh, this. Like you could literally teach an entire month on this piece. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody got the core concepts. And so that way, when you go back in and reread it to Scouty's points, you pull away with your own interpretation and a little bit more insight. So there's that, right? I love your enthusiasm. Oh, thank you so much, Scouty. So, hey, Stephanie, how you doing? Shout out to Georgia. Georgia's in the house. Okay, so with that being stated, we are here. So what are questions, comments, and concerns from the week? Of course, I have my phone from the, hey, Stephanie Gibbs, how are you? Welcome in. So we got two Stephs in the house. We got Steph Morgan and Steph Gibbs. So good to see both of you all. So what are questions, comments, concerns, insights that we have from the week? I will say this, leaning into whiteness as property this week was so interesting because I was not I knew Kendrick Lamar was going to be performing. I did not expect it to go up like that. I was like, yo. So when the Kendrick Lamar situation happened and we thought through that as a class and what he was saying and what he was getting at, right? And then leaning over into whiteness as property, I was like, oh, this is a very, very interesting connection like that's happening here, right? I just thought that was very interesting timing. But I will say this about whiteness as property, while folks are coming up with their comments, questions, concerns, insights, different things of that sort. That it's not only something that is historical, right? It is also something that is still taking place, that is still the fact. And hopefully what I'm hoping that I did was hopefully that I did a good job, I think, I'm not sure, I'll have to go back and watch, of being able to lay out exactly what Professor Harris means by whiteness is property, that it is something that is enshrined in law, that is protected by law, and that is acknowledged by law. So, an example, going back to the 14th Amendment, when we know what the purposes of the 14th Amendment was crafted for. Of course, that was a Reconstruction Amendment, right? But when we know the purposes of that, and that those who belong to the dominant class, that would be those white persons who did make a 14th Amendment claim, and that 14th Amendment claim is acknowledged in law. What that is an insistence upon the fact that, oh, I have something on my face. That bothered me. Okay, there we go. Anyway, what that is an insistence upon the fact that what we have been accorded over both time and space and history and all of those things still be acknowledged in the present day. That not on, that in other words, what they're saying is the fact that black folks are citizens is enough. Everything else should go to us. And we're going to use the 14th Amendment, something that was meant for those who were formerly enslaved, to benefit ourselves and to continuously extend the rights that whiteness as a form of property or a property right acknowledged in law guarantees us. So hopefully I did a somewhat decent job of explaining that week. Y'all explaining that this week, you all would have to let me know. But leaning into week 3, which is what we will be coming up on, and y'all, our time together is flying by really quick. I'm like, oh my goodness. But nonetheless, I lost the connection. J to the G, can you say more about that? Do you mean like the connection in the live, or like the connection between whiteness is property in law? Let me know, and I'll be sure to answer your question here on the live. And while I'm waiting for J to the G, one thing to consider that we will be thinking about going into, yes, Addison, 110% correct. One thing that we will be going into for week 3, the reason why whiteness as property and understanding that is so important, because when we start talking about stand your ground laws on Monday, you're going to need to understand it. Let's see. Do you record these? I have to be to work at noon. Yes, Stone Simmer. They are recorded. The community taught me last week how to do it. So, and when I uploaded it like as a smaller like type video. But this week I'm going to try to upload it in the full size. So yes, these are recorded. The lives will be reposted, so it can be something that you can play in the background, while you're doing whatever, reading, cleaning, the home, washing clothes, which I'm going to be doing a little bit later, right? You'll have something to play in the background. But nonetheless, understanding whiteness as property is going to be really, really important in getting at the stand your ground laws. And I will tell you now, as a preview, stand your ground laws has very little to do with, just making sure that white folks, are declared innocent in court, right? It goes a lot further than that. You're going to be able to see the connections, just like you saw the connections between the social contract and the racial contract, and whiteness is property as well. So let me get to some of these comments that are coming in here. Addison said another way to keep us. That's correct. Scotty says, we'll be stalking your content after this class ends because it's so informative. Oh, thank you so much. I try to do the best that I can, Scotty. My normative content is that I take political issues and I do some background research on them. And then I try to present them in a different way. That's what I normally do. But being the fact that this is is seemingly the class is well received. This won't be the last one that I do. I enjoy interacting with everyone. I'm a people person, right? So I really love doing this. So maybe give me about a month or two. We'll see. And then I will have another class that's constructed and ready to go. But I'll also be doing, my regular content, so you all kind of sort of get an idea what it is I was doing before Hillman Talk popped off. And it's also on my profile as well, some of the different things that I was doing. Okay, week 3, question mark. I just found you. Where can I find the lessons? Well, welcome. I'm just going to say the last 4 numbers. User 1418. Welcome to our community. We love to have you here. This is our Saturday live sessions where we just come in and we rap from the week. We have insights, thoughts. It doesn't just have to be about the lectures or the reading material. We talk about anything and everything on Saturday mornings. But in terms of where can you find the previous lectures, all the lectures are uploaded here on TikTok. So if you click on my profile, what you will see is a playlist that says Hillman Talk U CRT. And everything as it relates to this course is in that playlist. And you'll see where it says week 1, lecture 1, week 1, lecture 2, week 1, lecture 3. And then the same thing happens for week 2. So that way you can get caught up. So we are 6 lectures in and 1 live in. So the live from last week is also there. So that's where you can find it. Go to my profile and you will see the playlist. Oh, Scotty already answered your question. Oops, my bad. Thank you, Scotty. Appreciate that. Let's see, Addison. In other words, there will never be equality. Yes, correct. The system isn't built for us to have it. Yes, this is exactly correct, Addison. Right? Understanding that the system is operating as intended. That is the one thing, right, that we should be able to take away from this overall. And looking at the social contract, looking at the racial contract, understanding whiteness as property and how law operates in the United States, not just historically. And this is what I meant by in that orientation video when we first started off, when I posted the orientation video the first Saturday in, is that CRT is not just historical in its scope. It is also contemporary. We deal with the contemporary issues. We look at how law is decided as well as the reasoning that goes into that, right? This is why critical race theory is grounded in law school, because you have to have a type of knowledge of tort law, constitutional law, criminal law, property law, as we saw this week, right? All of these different aspects of law are interrogated to understand how the social contract, which is informed by the racial contract, we covered that week 1, right, is still informing our society. So yes, Addison, 110% correct. Okay, Scotty says, hooray, I've never had classes like this before. Okay, well, hey, we're going to try to roll some more out. I have to think of, what other subject matters I have in my wheelhouse, which spans like quite a bit, right? I might do one on reproductive justice because I have done congressional briefings around maternal mortality. Maternal mortality, and specifically Black women's experiences in maternal mortality. So I may do a course where I go through the case law of how we get to all of these cases that are coming up out of Texas that restrict women's rights that then go on to inform the nation, right? So it's one thing to know that, obviously now in the era that we are in, there's a challenge in reproductive law, but it's another thing to know the different iterations and the different steps that we're taking there. So that's one of the courses that I'm thinking about. I may just do a straight out African Americans and U.S. history course. I don't know. Y'all have to let me know what y'all want to see, right? I'm in law and society. I'm a sociologist. I have background in African American studies. Y'all let me know what y'all want to see, and we can pull together a month course. Okay, J to the G. Can you discuss the part about narrowly tailored to serve government interests? Yes, absolutely. Okay, so you're talking about the different levels of scrutiny, which would be rational basis, intermediate scrutiny, as well as strict scrutiny. So rational basis is, really quickly, for those of y'all who did not see that lecture, rational basis is basically a company is saying the government is being too strict in this area and they're restricting our rights. That usually pertains to regulations, different things of that sort. Those companies effectively lose all the time, basically, right? Because the government is going to say, yeah, we were wrong, blah, blah, like they effectively lose all the time, right? Intermediate scrutiny, interestingly enough, in some cases deals with issues of Title IX issues in schools. So you could think about things such as SA. I'm not sure if I can say that on TikTok, but it usually has, I would say, sexual misconduct. I think that's safe to say on TikTok. If this were YouTube, I could probably be a little bit more for it, but I'm not sure. But strict scrutiny. What strict scrutiny means, when something is before the court and deals with strict scrutiny that may impinge on the rights of a group of people. In this case, we'll say black folks, right? Since I'm black, we're just gonna say black folks, right? So usually what that deals with is that if the government wants to institute a policy that has an outcome that may impact the rights of a protected class of persons, they have to have a narrowly tailored law or interest in this case, and it has to be spelled out in such a way that it is only aimed toward that particular end goal, as opposed to disfranchising a whole entire population, right? Where the caveat comes in at this is that when white folks make a claim to the 14th Amendment, those things are narrowly tailored, right, to achieve the end goal in whiteness as property, while on the back side of that, or the effect of that, is that it further disenfranchises black persons, right? Do you see the twist there? So the as law allows something, it also disallows something. So in effect, the argument is, as strict scrutiny is supposed to actually protect a given class of persons via race, sex, or whatever other protected class, by way of acknowledging, right, the 14th Amendment protections of whiteness as property, it further disfranchises black folks and people of color. So therefore, we don't even get the strict scrutiny protections that we are supposed to have. I hope that makes sense, J to the G. If it doesn't, let me know. I know you'll let me know. Let me know if that doesn't make sense, right? A good example of this is Brown versus Board of Education that we went over. What was that? I think that was the second lecture this past week. Whereas they said, you have to desegregate immediately. That was the Brown versus Board of Education, right? And we celebrate that every year, like, woo, Brown versus Board of Education, desegregation, woo, 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 right? Like we do that whole entire 9 yards. And that is seen as enough in acknowledging the harms that was done to black folks, people of color, etc., right? Whereas the court did not say, not only do you have to desegregate, but it is mandatory, right, that you move around funding. The court did not say that. So therefore, inequality became equality in the de facto sense, in a social norm. Therefore, the 14th Amendments that were extended by way of desegregation was actually done away with, because there was no material difference made through the rendering of the court. By the way, that's going to become really, really important for when we read the piece on standing your ground laws, because interestingly enough, I'll worry about that on Monday. You'll get it. But if that doesn't make sense, J to the G, let me know, so that way I can answer your question more. Okay. Let's see. I've been an unofficial student of yours for years. That's Stephanie. You're a sister. You know me in real life for real. I don't even know if I would consider that being a student. Stephanie Morgan actually knows me in real time, y'all. Like, just, yes. Anytime I'm in Atlanta, it's a good time. So good to see you. Good to see you, Steph. Okay. Ness with the mess. UCLA alumnus here too. All right, go Bruins. And furthermore, go Dodgers. But go Bruins. Glad to have you in the chat. Let's see what we have here. I'm scrolling. How am I already behind? I'm already behind in these comments. This is hilarious. Okay. J to the G says, yes, people say this isn't America. This is exactly as the founders intended. 110% correct, J to the G. Yes. This is exactly why we started with Charles Mills, the racial contract. Because did not the brother lay it out, right? And knowing the racial contract helps us to understand whiteness as property. It also helps us to understand why this stuff is not taught at the K through 12 level. It just takes quite a bit to unpack. And the interesting thing about our journey together is is we're just dealing with the foundational readings of critical race theory. We haven't even moved up to advanced critical race theory where this stuff goes really into the weeds, right? So that's the funny part. But yes, J2G. Oh, Miss Barbara is here. Hey, Miss Barbara, how are you? She says, Professor, I am here ready for more learning. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good afternoon to you. I think you might be on the East Coast, so good afternoon to you, but good morning from the West Coast. Addison, they're never going to change the system because they benefit from it. Yes. Yes. And you say, what does that leave us? Okay, this is a good question, Addison. So definitely you have a point in terms of never going to change the system because it benefits them, right? Oh, and then hold on, before that you say so okay, Addison, I'm gonna come back to that in just a bit. I'm gonna get to that second comment in just a bit. Okay, let me deal with that one first. Okay, so they're never gonna change the system because something says join. Hi, I'm not sure where the heart came from, but hi, thank you so much. They're never going to change the system because they benefit from it. What does that leave us? This, Addison, that's the truth. This is the construction of society through Western colonialism. That's what it is, right? So what does that leave us? It leaves us with an invitation to think about and to be very serious about the world in which we want to live and how do we make that world possible. So an example, like let's dismantle some things, right? Like a lot of people think that, all black people were on board with the civil rights movement. That is not true. The largest movement for black folks in the United States was the UNIA, the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and that was Brother Marcus Garvey. Malcolm X was a Garveyite. His parents were Garveyite. Rosa Parks was a Garveyite, right? And, we can definitely unpack that whole moment with her sitting on the bus. It wasn't the fact that she was tired. Rosa Parks was a Garveyite. Rosa Parks was sitting on that bus saying, I'm not moving no more. Forget that. Y'all know what word would go right here, right? If this one TikTok, right? So why am I bringing Marcus Garvey up? The reason why I'm bringing Marcus Garvey up, because we all know what I think most of us know, that his whole thing was like, get black folks up out of the United States and we can make our political worlds possible. However, as much as I might be stepping in some stuff with this, so just go with me for a little bit. As much as there are those that scream, get out of our country, go back to your country. Well, when we tried to go, you imprisoned the man that was getting us on the Black Star Line ship to go handle our own business. So what that says inherently to me is that you cannot make this joint operate without us. Like we've done everything, the air conditioning, the stoplights, the iron, all of that different stuff, right? Now, why am I bringing this up? Because we have the ability to make our political futures that we want to see possible. And it is possible through everyday things that we do. What does that look like? It looks like erecting communities of care, right? So like we are doing some of that now in our Saturday sessions where we join in community with one another. You can, I'll talk about LA, right? Because that's where I'm at. In LA, we have Leimert Park. Listen, you go down to Leimert Park any day of the week. It is popping, right? There is a place in Leimert Park called Napoli Naturals. It is a black-owned business, and that is a space of communal being. That what it leaves us is one another. And what Hillman Talk in these spaces have taught us is that we are all we need. So that even in the moment of oppression, even in the moment of existing and being within a Western world power that is ruling the world for now, right? We can still create these spaces and never underestimate the small things that has the catalyst to bring about the change in the world that we want to see. The Haitian Revolution is very instructive because it was the everyday small things that eventually led to, y'all know what that led to, right? And there's that. Okay. So hopefully that answers that question, Addison. Now let me get to your other one here. You say, so what are we fighting for if we're never going to have equality, what are we marching for? This is a great question. I get this question a lot from students every single day in terms of, okay, if we know that this is what this is, that we're never going to be equal, then what are we marching for? What's going on here? And that is a very valid question to ask, because the question that you now have to ask is, do we want equality within an inherent unequal system? Do we want to perpetuate that which we have experienced ourselves? Do we want white power and black hands? Is that really what we want? Is that what we out here marching for? What is the ask? Here is what I think is the basic ask at the end of the day. At minimum, to leave us alone. Hey, Shonda. Woo! Shonda, I feel the same way. I was like, what was that? That was crazy. That came out of like left field. I don't know what that was about. I'm glad to be back too. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm just sitting here like talking. I would have to go back and watch the video to see what was the last thing that left off. But I remember sitting here and like the screen just went out and I was like, what's going on? Have mercy. Oh my Lord. Well, and we're back. So hopefully everything's straightened out. Now they have everything together and folks can come back in. It wasn't anything on my end that I know of because AT&T got their money. I know that much. So, oh my goodness. So I'm hoping that everything is everything. It just, it was a little bit of a moment. Because even the email that I had, what went through my head was the email that I had established for our experience together actually got hacked, and Google is refusing to reinstate it. So I was like, did somebody just jump through the air and try to take out my internet? What's going on? Because I know AT&T got their good money out my account. So what's going on? Let's see. You were teaching too good. The enemy don't want us to get this word. Knowledge is power. Hey, facts are facts. But you know what? We still gonna stick at it. We still gonna be at it. One monkey don't stop no show. And we here. We gonna tough it out. We gonna do what we're supposed to do. And we back at it, and I'm still gonna do the hour. We gonna start the hour, from the top. We gonna start it again. If we go an hour and a half, that's fine too. That's just what we do as a people, right? We climb back into it. Rosemary says the movement is real. Yes, it is real. It is real for sure. Hey, Scouty, good to have you back. So, hopefully, as folks trickle in, and I was trying to figure out what was going on, and thank you, everybody, for checking on me, making sure that everything is everything. In this day and time, you can't be too sure. You can't be too sure. So I thank you all for checking in on me. Let me reply to this person really quickly. Hope you can come back on soon. We're back. Come on in. Oh my goodness. that was quite interesting. Okay. So any hoodles. Okay. Yes. What do you think of the Super Bowl performance? I thought what was interesting, is that Kendrick said, well, Gil Scott Heron, the revolution will be televised. But my number one thing, and Sean, I did a video, a TikTok rather, around this. And one of the things that stood out most to me that I really like what Kendrick Lamar did was that he made like this American flag type thing, right, out of, folks that were dressed in red, white, and blue. And the thing that I appreciate about that is obviously the message here is that, Black lives, Black bodies make this flag possible by our subjugation, right? Because the various movements that they were doing, like such as their hands raised, right, made that moment very clear. Now, here's the same critique of that moment, which we will get into in week 4 of this course. And I'm going to go back, Shonda, and I'm going to look at that video real close. But in that particular moment, I did not see any Black women within that lineup that I could readily identify. That is my critique as of now until I go back and watch it closer. That and this is the critique that Kimberly Crenshaw is going to end up having, right? That the experience that we understand of the within the United States is mapped out by the lives of Black men, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, I'm a Black man, hello, but also there's nuance to this. There's intersections we need to consider and different things of that sort. I am not a Black woman, so therefore I cannot speak to the experiences of Black women in the United States. I certainly can read and research, but those who are Black women, right, their experiences must be articulated and made clear so that we understand the full range, right, of how white supremacy operates within the United States. Hey, Addison, yes, I am back in here. We are back live. And I am going to, Addison, I'm going to have to watch the playback to figure out where exactly the live dropped and then join the two into one whole video. But that was certainly interesting. But overall, Shonda, yes, that is what I think of that moment. Let's see. What were other moments from Kendrick, right? Obviously the person with, hey, Special Sugar, how you doing? Come on in. Obviously there was the moment with Samuel L. Jackson, right? And one of the moments that keep jumping out to me immediately from Samuel, Shonda, is when he said, welcome to the great American game, because that's what we're all playing, right? And that, was implying a type of social contract. I talked about that in the immediate video, the immediate TikTok that I did afterward. And also when he said, listen, you got too many of your people up in here, deduct one life. It is interesting that, the more advances we make, the more we move forward, there is this deduction of one life, whether that be literally, whether that be politically, whether that be economically, there is this type of reduction that takes place, right? Particularly, as it relates to Steph Morgan's question before the internet just completely crashed out on us, as it relates to homelessness. There are multiple ways in which to deduce one life. Excuse me. Let's see. All right. Scotty says Kimberly Crenshaw started posting more on TikTok about a new program with her org. I forgot the title. Oh, African American Policy Forum. And specifically what Kimberly Crenshaw and African American Policy Forum, Scotty, thank you for bringing this up. Particularly what African American Policy Forum is going to be doing is they're going to be placing explicit focus on I don't even want to say the man's name. Y'all know who's sitting in that chair. They're gonna be placing a particular focus on the executive orders that are coming out of the White House and doing real CRT analysis on those executive orders, speaking to who they impact and how they impact them. And by the way, this is how we come to understand whiteness as property as well. So make sure you do tune into Kimberly Crenshaw. Am I on here? Let's see. Yeah, I think I'm on. Okay. Let me check this. Yeah, I'm on. Okay. So make sure you do tune into Kimberly Crenshaw and what they're going to be doing with African American Policy Forum, because they're going to be tracking those executive orders in real time and speaking to who they impact. And by the way, you're going to be watching critical race theory in real time, because Kimberly Crenshaw is an original critical race theorist who was trained by Derek Bell. She is the real deal Holyfield, as we like to say, right? So you're going to be getting it in real time along with her and some of her other colleagues. Okay, do you think we'll ever get 40 acres in a mule? Absolutely not, Addison. Absolutely not. Let's be very clear about this, okay? Now, Addison, why you always asking me a question that's going to have me stepping in some mud, but I'm going to step in it anyway. Yes, I am. Here's the reality of the fact. Various demographics of the United States that reside within the United States have received reparations for various things, okay? There's a reason that Black folks in the United States have not received reparations. Number one, they see ending slavery as the reparation. That's number one. Number two, that if reparations were to take place for black folks in the United States, this nation would crumble because we built it. The labor, the systems of capitalism, even down to the White House that these folks are in, we built it, right? So I believe there's a book called The Black History of the White House. Make sure you check that out, right? We have plenty of billionaire families, multi-millionaire families that got their start in what? Enslavement practices. Oh, yes. In all of the major universities, Harvard, Yale, Dartmouth, get into it. What did they start off with? Slavery. Slavery is how they got their big endowment, right? There is a wonderful book called Ebony and Ivy. Make sure you check that book out, and it speaks to how the universities of the nation get their start in slavery. If they did not get their start in slavery, they got their start in dispossessing people, such as the University of California, and more specifically, the University of California, Los Angeles, who displaced the Tongvan Native people, right? So when we talk about 40 acres and a mule, when we're talking about reparations, the reason why that conversation cannot be had in a very transparent and very real way as it relates to black people in these United States is because the nation would have to cut us a check that there is not enough money in that account to fulfill. So that's my answer to that question, Addison. What's up, best friend? Hi. Let's see. Oh, it's Sean. Hey, Sean. Oh my goodness, okay. Sean has known me for a long time, y'all. Let's see. I know where you at, Sean. Oh my goodness. Okay, PJ says, you're back. Let's see. They're mad that we won't drop it. Oh, hey, that's a conversation with Addison. Yes, you are loud and clear. Okay, thank you, Viper. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Sean, I know it's you. I'm gonna call you at some point. Let's see. What does PJ say here? I don't think they would give black people reparations. If they did, it. Well, very, very, very true, PJ. Right? And again, they see the moment of freedom as the reparative moment for black folk, and even in that moment, the inequality being rendered as equality. And I know I say that a lot, but that is because I'm trying to drive that point home. That inequality is seen as equality in the United States. And the quicker we come to terms with that, the quicker we can start formulating around what are the political possibilities in the world that we want to see. But PJ, to your point, that is absolutely correct. Anything beyond legalized quote unquote freedom, right? That's just not going to be a conversation. And Malcolm X would put it this way. Malcolm X would say that if someone has to give you your freedom, then you are not free at all. That's what Malcolm X would say, which is where our brothers and sisters from Haiti come into play. All right, Shonda, when does Kimberly Crenshaw class start? Shonda, I don't believe she's doing a class. They're just going to be posting TikToks so that as the executive orders roll out, they'll be posting TikToks about what that executive order is about and how it comes to impact people. So if you follow African American Policy Forum, they should be, I'm not sure the schedule, how they're going to be rolling that out, but they'll be rolling it out. And we'll be reading Kimberly Crenshaw week 4, which is our final week of our time together for this particular course with Hillman Talk, which is kind of crazy because we're halfway through. We just completed week 2. So by the way, if you are behind on the lectures, make sure you go on my profile and you click Hillman Talk. It's at the top, Hillman Talk U CRT, and you will see all of the lectures there. Let's see. Japanese received reparations, I think. Yes, they absolutely did, Viper. They absolutely did. Hey, Professor, talk your talk. Hey, Jill, how are you? Good to see you. Oh my gosh, Dr. Heidel, how are you? The Dr. Heidel is in the house. What is going on? Yes, the original doctor. So good to see you. Oh my goodness. who navigated me through so many crazy moments in life in undergrad. Listen, while I'm here, even though this is not necessarily on the topic of well, I guess it could be seen as political. Listen, there is a wonderful professor in the comments, Dr. CC. You may see her down there. There are people that you meet in life that will just pour and pour into you, and you want to talk about a generous soul. Dr. Heidel is everything, and this is what makes the difference at HBCUs. A lot of you know that I attended Morehouse as an undergrad, and Dr. Heidel is one of those instrumental professors that got me through it. And she understands not only how to navigate the classroom, but also how to speak to and address the concerns of students. So a quick message of love and shout out to Dr. Cece, who is somewhere in the comments. I'm not even sure she's still on the live, but quite literally, I am because she is, because she modeled out what it meant to be a professor and what it means to show up for your students, etc. So thank you so much, Dr. Heidel, who is somewhere in the comments, or I'm not sure if she popped in and popped back out, but nonetheless, it is folks like her who made it possible for me to sit where I'm sitting and have these conversations with you all in nuance. And I'm pretty sure she wouldn't mind me saying this. She is a wonderful, wonderful member of the Delta Sigma Theta. So shout out to the Deltas that are in the house. Let's see. They would need to pay reparations to so many people. That is certainly true. How am I behind on comments already? Oh, Lord. Okay, so let me catch up. All right. Can you make a book list? Yes, PJ. We have a community member named Sam. I'll have to reach out to Sam and get the book list, but there are various people who are, and I haven't seen Michaela come through today either, but I know that her and Sam are keeping an active book list of the different recommendations that are being made. At some point in time, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch all of the lives and all of the lectures to see which books were recommended, so that way I can just put it on one thing and make a TikTok out of it. Okay, let's see. But every other white person got free land in a helping hand. They sure did. They sure did. And still are. And still are. You will recall that the first time that we all know who he is, sat in the office, he had got into this trade war with China, and things went south, and he had to bail farmers out. And who were the majority of farmers that received billions of dollars? And then who had to ultimately pay that back through taxes? That would be us. That is a form of reparative, right? Of reparative justice or reparations. So even in the current time, that is still taking place. So you are 100% correct. I believe how to pronounce your name is Dayanara. Please help me out. I know your last name is Cabrera, so I'm going to say Cabrera. There you go. Yes, you're 100% correct. There is that. Please, can you make a book list? Simply Marie. Yes, I will make sure that we get the book list. I got to reach out to Sam so that way, you know, we get the book list together in terms of what has been recommended. Sean said, I'm here watching. Hey, Sean. I'm surprised you're not out and about, but hey, let's see. Ill-gotten gains. Yes. C, when you made that comment, C, yes, absolutely correct. Ill-gotten gains. And these are things that we have to understand about, right? Like when we were talking about Students for Fair Admission versus, who was it? Versus Harvard University, I believe is the formal name of the case. Or we're talking about someone such as the Regents of the University of California versus Bakke. What the claim in these moments are, when these type of lawsuits are filed and they say, okay, you're letting too many black and brown students in, and those students are taking my place. And there is not a claim made against legacy students getting in. There's not a claim made against the special seats that deans and provosts and all those people get to pick their own people. When there is not a claim made against celebrities who have these photo shoots with their children and get them admitted to the university as an athlete. Y'all remember when USC was deep in that at other universities across the nation, right? And USC is right down the street from me. But nonetheless, there was not a single claim made against those things. And the claim that is made is, hey, these black and brown folks are taking my seat. What that claim says is, I want that which I have been entitled to and which I got the wrong way, i.e. ill-gotten gains. And they want the right to retain that. And the way that law operates in the United States is that it acknowledges that expectation. It acknowledges, right, that entitlement, that protection, those rights that are extended by whiteness as property. That's why we studied that this week, right? And why we went over that reading. So see, you are 100% correct there. Let's see, FDT. Do you think more cities/states will implement reparations? I think or is working on something right now. There is a way in which municipalities can go about doing this. I believe there are some models that are out there, but ultimately FDT, it is not an overwhelming sense of municipalities and or states that engage in this conversation, because at the end of the day, it's going to run deep into pockets. An example, in California, a bill was passed to do a study for reparations. That bill was eventually stopped by the Gavin Newsom. The Gavin Newsom, right? Who is a star child of the Democratic Party. And Gavin Newsom himself said, all right, that's enough. We good on that. We don't need to expose how much California will owe the black folk and the native folk, right? Gavin Newsom himself stopped that. So that even lets us know that even within the Democratic Party, there are boundaries of limitation where they are willing to have this conversation, where they are not willing to have this conversation because they understand what the stakes are. So even for someone like a Gavin Newsom, who is seen as progressive, who is seen as being informed of the various social issues and where they lie and their implications and how to resolve them, even when it comes to the conversation of reparations, all right, we'll leave that there. All right, can we talk about sundown towns? I'm not sure if that's been covered already. Sorry, just got here. That's okay, Jade, come on in. This is our Saturday session, so we can talk about the readings that we did this past week. We can talk about whatever comes across. But sundown towns, yes, we can talk about sundown towns, right? And for those of y'all who are not familiar with sundown towns, those were particular communities where you had to be out of that community by the time the sun went down if you was black, or that was going to be your behind, right? Like, that's just what that is. And so in areas of sundown towns, those communities still exist. What do I mean by that? We can talk about Sanford, Florida as a type of sundown town, right? Trayvon Martin is out walking back to his dad's home. He is seen to be out of place, and George Zimmerman does what he does. That is a type of sundown town, right? Even here in California, right, just on the outskirts of Los Angeles, there is Glendale. Glendale is known as a sundown town. Now, I will tell you this, and for those of you all who have been to California or know this Southern California area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You better not be any piece of color playing around in Irvine, California, okay? Or in Orange County, California, period. Because there is a type of way in which those who are non-white are engaged in those areas, and you know that by the time that sun is headed toward the other side of the horizon, you need to either be getting ghost or you need to be inside your home somewhere. Orange County is not the place to play around in Southern California, right? Also, there are certain communities in Los Angeles that you do not play around in. Santa Monica is one of them. Beverly Hills is one of them. There are a lot of Trumpers in Beverly Hills. As a matter of fact, when Trump, when the whole thing came up, about, him possibly not leaving the office, right? This is at the end of his first term. They blocked off the entirety of Santa Monica Boulevard over in the Flats by Beverly Hills. That's what they call it, the Flats. And they were going up and down that road with their Trump flags. Beverly Hills looks cute on TV, but I'm trying to tell you what it is. It's someone who lives here, right? And then Santa Monica area, the Pier area, that area is fine. But when you get into Santa Monica proper, that is a different story. Another community that can be seen as, and I'm just talking about California because that's where I'm at. Another community that can be seen as a sundown town is Westwood. That is where UCLA is located. When I first moved out here, my first greeting to Westwood was I was called, I'm not sure if I can say it on TikTok, but the N-word quite openly. They were letting me know that I was not in the proper space. So not only are sundown towns, what point am I bringing up? Not only are sundown towns historical, they're also contemporary, and help to inform what? Here's going back to our readings. They help to inform the property interest in whiteness, because sundown towns exist in the fact that white folks are saying, we live in these areas and you do not, and therefore you are out of place, and this area recognizes our rights and our citizenship. And this takes place all over the United States. It's not just California. It's not just Georgia. It's not just Florida. Really, we can talk about the whole entire United States as a sundown town, but that's another story for another day. But nonetheless, so there is that, Jade in NBK. I hope that answers your question, and no need to apologize about just getting here. You are fine. Okay, so let's keep scrolling some more so I can catch up. If they did, they have to pay natives. They have to pay. They'd have to tax rich, but never will. Absolutely, Jen, 110% correct. Native folks will also obviously have to have reparations in that. And what would that look like, Jen? That means that all of this land would have to be returned. And what does that mean? Up, here we go. We're going back to week 1. Here we go. This is why you got to keep these lectures. Thank you, Jen. Thank you. This is why you got to keep the lectures with you. This is why you got to keep the lectures with you. Because if all the land has to come back, what does that mean? That means the collapse of the nation state. So what does that mean? It means that racism is a necessary element of keeping these United States together. Catch it. Catch it. I'm going to say it one more time. To Jen's point, Jen said if they did, they also have to pay natives. They have to tax the rich, but never will. In order to restore that which native and indigenous people are rightfully entitled to, that means that you would have to give back all of this land. What that means is the collapse of the nation state. What is the implicated argument here? The implicated argument is, and this goes back to who said that earlier? Oh my goodness. They asked, what are we marching for then, and different things. That's why I can't remember. I think it was Addison. I think Addison asked me that. Anyway, what that means is, if we know that giving back the land would collapse the nation state, that means that we implicitly know that the nation state is held together vis-a-vis racism. That the nation state project that is the United States does not exist without racism. And to the extent that the nation state continues to exist and land has not been returned, then I don't care what type of law you pass. I don't care what type of legislation you pass, what kind of statutes you pass, what type of memorandum of understanding you pass. To not give that back to someone which they are entitled to, and you know that you are unjustly holding that up because some people came over from Great Britain and said they want to start a nation. That means that racism is holding your ish together. And it is intricate. It is absolutely intricate and vital to the functioning of the nation state. And not just the material racism, and this is one thing that I teach my students, not just the material racism in terms of someone calling you a racial epithet. If anything, you're thankful for that type of racism because you know to leave that person alone. I'm talking about the very minute in covert ways in which racism operates through law to achieve the objective end goals of the nation state, even with the disestablishment of the nation state itself. Jen, thank you so much for that insight. 100% correct here. Do you think we were better off in segregation? Now, Addison, why you got me stepping in this, Addison? Now, Addison, I'm coming along with these questions. And I do get this question quite a bit from my students. Okay, so y'all put on your seatbelts. If you at home, put on your seatbelts. It's going to get kind of rough, all right? So, Addison, to answer your question directly, yes. Yes. Because when we go back and we study the civil rights movement very closely, what we understand is that black folks were never asking for integration. We were asking for desegregation. Those are two separate things. We were just simply asking, hey, can we go into Macy's without, being accosted? We would love to do that. Like, nobody said, oh, the utility, the greatness of who I understand myself to be and what I think is possible for myself is connected by the fact that I can sit next to a white person. That wasn't necessarily the ask when we go back and study the history. But what we do know, hold on, is it up here? Oh, yes, it's up. Y'all know I love a good book. Whoever asked me for that book list, here we go. Add one more to it. Right? This book, Ready for Revolution by Stokely Carmichael. Some of y'all may know him as Kwame Ture. It's the same person. Ready for Revolution. He talks about in this book how they were preparing for the March on Washington, was actually put together by Bayard Rustin, a black gay man, right? Some of y'all know that, right? I ain't gonna get into too much of a critique on MLK because, you know, I realize people love MLK, but we can go there, right? Because MLK was not necessarily here for black women, as Ella Baker. That's another story for another day, but we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it moving, all right? Anyway, so in this text, right, Ready for Revolution, Stokely Carmichael recalls when they were in D.C. preparing for the March on Washington, and they walked in accidentally on a meeting with MLK and King with, MLK and King, that's the same person, with the FBI in MLK, arranging what message would be stated. Hello, and how they were adjusting speeches. As a matter of fact, oh, where is it? Oh, here it is. Hold on, y'all. I got to stand up for a little bit. I love how y'all are asking me these questions that get my mind going. Anyway, they were adjusting speeches, etc., right? And Stokely Carmichael was like, but that's not what we're asking for. And there was an agreement between King and the FBI, but this is the message that we're going to send out, right? One of the speeches that they adjusted was that which belonged to John Lewis. John Lewis wasn't always the agreeable congressional man that we came to know him to be. John Lewis was a radical back in the day, and in his book, Walking with the Wind, he recalls the speech that he was supposed to give on March on Washington, which was a radical speech. And who shut that speech down? MLK, in collusion with the FBI. You gotta read the text. You gotta get into these books, right? All that to answer your question, Addison, of black folks were not asking for integration. We were simply asking for desegregation and to be treated like we were somebody and like we were human, because we never equated our worth to who we were necessarily sitting next to in terms of a racialized other groups. Why? Because we had our own communities, baby. We had our own stores. We had our own businesses. We were supporting one another, and we were doing it so well in North Carolina, in Atlanta, in Oklahoma, that they got mad and they had to come through and they had to get rid of the Black Wall Streets by bombing them, by setting them on fire and everything else. People like Ida B. Wells, who were writing out the Memphis Free Speech and Headlight, was making white racism and its impact so clear that they went through and firebombed her newspaper shop. That is our effect. So when you ask me this question, do I think we were better off in segregation? The answer to that question is yes, for me, right? Different people have different answers to that, but that's my question. All right. Scotty says the OGs. All right. Let's see. Okay, I see conversations taking place here. Addison, I know that was a long answer to your question, Addison, but listen, you prompted me on that one. And it just came out. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, now I'm catching up. Apologies in advance. It just already been covered. What about Sundown Towers? Okay, I covered that one. Thank you. Sigma Gamma Rho in the house. Okay, hey, Poodles. The Poodles are in the house. All right, Sigma Gamma Rho, how y'all doing? And will be losing their farms this time around. Yes, Scouty. Yes. A whole lot of people are finding out. And not only that, there is a town. You know what? I need to do one of my regular TikToks that I did I did before Hillman Talk started, so you all can see what I'm talking about. There is a town in Alabama who was just noticed, to your point, Scouty, who was just notified by their it was either water or it was power and electric, something of that sort. Anyway, they were notified that their bill is now going up $100. And that company sent a letter to all of the residents in that community, and they said, hey, the reason why your bill wasn't so high was because there was a federal government grant that was helping to, supplement what was going on here. But Trump has done away with that, and we're going to need you to run us that extra money. And the community that was impacted, guess who they voted for? Yeah, Scouty, you on point. You on point. You're absolutely on point with that. Okay, PJ says, I think that's why he rolled back freezing money, because he didn't realize who he was affecting. Well, there's that part of it, and there's some part of it that they just don't care. Why? Because there are certain people that are in proximity to the president, Elon Musk, who paid all types of money, right, for him to be able to sit in that seat and are guaranteed certain money. Elon Musk is only a multi-billionaire because he's making money off of United States governmental contracts by a whole lot. So to the extent, what people are seeing with this thing called Doge, right, is that, on the conservative side, we see through it, obviously. But what people on the Doge side of things are saying, okay, well, he's saving the United States money. No, baby. he's cutting services, and that money's being redirected to his pocket so that he can extrapolate that money away from the U.S. economy and place it elsewhere. There is some part of me that believes that somebody in the Pentagon has to be paying attention. This is an economic hit job. This is it is clear as day. If you're this is a side note, and I'm going to get back to the comments. 10-second side note. If you have taken an oath of office to protect the United States, even though we have critiques of the United States, but if you have taken an oath of office to protect the United States from enemies both foreign and domestic, hello? Hello? We can't be the only people seeing this, right? So that's just me on that. Okay. Let's see. Let's get back through. Thank you, Professor, for your time. No problem at all, Tia. No problem at all. I'm happy to be here on Saturday mornings with you all. I apologize for the internet interruption that happened earlier, but we back up in this thing and we good to go. Somebody said, Jennifer, what is happening? Said Central Park. Absolutely, Central Park. Central Park used to be an actual black community. Central Park in New York. There used to be a thriving black community, knocked to the ground for people to be able to do what? Walk amongst the trees. And there's that. And for those of you all that are in Atlanta, Georgia, Lenox Mall is built on top of a black community, just like Lake Lanier, right? So if you go and do your research, you will find in Atlanta, Georgia, that that Lenox Mall is built on top of what used to be Johnsontown, a very thriving black community. Not that all the way out, got rid of the black businesses, all of that stuff, and they built Lenox Square Mall. And there is that. Tia says, yes, the system isn't broken. It works as it was made to work. 110% true, Tia. And we have to understand this and realize this. And I think this goes back to oh my gosh, her name's slipping my head. But anyway, this goes back to the point, to the question someone asked of, well, what are we marching for? Right? Addison, thank you, Addison. Addison asked, well, what are we marching for? Because this is operating as intended. And this is why critical race theory looks at law to make it very clear that these things are not happenstance, that, that it's not just, oh, we happen to slip up on this. No, baby, this is what this is. It is operating as intended. So, like, when people are found, innocent of certain things, operating as intended. When the whole communities are displaced, operating as intended, right? These are the things that we have to understand. The very real rapid rate of gentrification that's happening in Atlanta, Georgia right now. If you're from Atlanta, you know what I'm talking about, right? Because I consider Atlanta home. That's for a reason, right? That's the point that I'm getting to. All right. I'm not sure what Shonda's responding to when she said, what? But hey, we having a time today, so I'm pretty sure it's something. Let's see. Most are bought. Okay. Let's see. I'm coming through here, y'all. I'm catching up. Yeah. We would have to lift up our own representatives that the people select. 110. And along these lines, shout out to Jasmine Crockett. That sister is on the front lines making it happen. Shout out to her. I'm pretty sure she's not on this live, but love, peace, and blessings to her for holding the feet to the fire, because that sister is just doing it on her own at this point in time. I don't know where the rest of these Democrats are at. Now, if there is one thing, I will say this. If there is one thing I have to give the Republicans, when they tell you they're going to do something, they're going to do it. Baby, you can bet your bottom dollar on it. When a Republican says they're going to do something, they going to do it. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with the Democratic Party. I just, like, what's the deal, right? But that's another story for another day. All right, let's see. Moving on. Okay, C says we only got a plaque in the Capitol building in Sacramento acknowledging slavery. Listen, and C, yes, 110%. And herein is the point, C, right? That inequality is seen as equality. That somehow, if we acknowledge, what took place, then that's enough. We don't have to do any type of material reparative work as long as we acknowledge it, and let's move forward. It's the same thing that, like, when you go on university campuses and they do these land acknowledgments, or you email somebody that's at a university, they have a land acknowledgement in their email. Okay, but what material type of reparation are we providing here? We need more than just words. Words are cute, and thank you for the words, but I'm gonna need you to run me that, as I like to say, right? Okay, Jade says, thank you. Nicole says, I love this class. I've been working at the hospital listening in. This community gives me hope. Hey, Nicole, I hope you are having a wonderful day at work. And listen, and we thank you for being on the front lines, and we thank you for working in healthcare, because what we do know is that when Black folk roll up in the hospital, our pain is not acknowledged. It is not recognized. This particularly impacts Black women, right? I believe it was Serena Williams, if I'm not mistaken, who even gave her testimony of when she was in pain and labor, she was not believed. So we thank you, dear sister, people like you who are on the front lines, you know, when we say we are in pain, or when we say this hurts, that our bodies are believed, and that you are making sure that we have the right medical care and attention that we need. Nicole is doing a very important work, so shout out to her, and thank you so much for what you're doing, because that type of work cannot be overstated. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because it is so many times that we are diagnosed with stuff that we do not have, or the diagnosis is just missed completely, because somehow, in some way, through the medical socialization, it is believed that Black bodies are just radically different from white bodies. But that's another story for another day. But thank you so much, Nicole, for your service and what you're doing in the local hospital there. Okay, I am Star Abracadabra says Simi Valley, California. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is why they had to move the Rodney King trial up to Simi Valley, right? Because they needed a certain work to be done. All right, Nina Hawk says they still have some in Alabama. I'm not sure what. Oh, sundown towns. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. There are still a few here in Georgia. 110% correct, Ambi. 110% correct. Scotty says, I didn't know that. I'm not sure what Scotty's referring to in that moment, but I'm pretty sure it was something. North Carolina and South Carolina are sundown town states. Hello. And again, if we are connecting this to what we dealt with this week in terms of whiteness as property, and again, if you missed it, go to my profile, click on the playlist, and watch the week 2 lectures. And if you need to understand the week 2 lectures, you can watch the week 1 lectures. But again, sundown towns are whiteness as property in real time. Just to make that very, very clear, right? There's no other way to make that clear, because one of the things that we set up in understanding whiteness as property, the article that we looked at this week, was that Plessy versus Ferguson made segregation via law de jure, meaning that it was actually written out, whereas Brown versus Board of Education made inequality de facto, meaning in fact, by custom, by social practice. And sundown towns come to be a thing by custom, by social expectation, and the right to do so is protected in law by way of what? Stand your ground laws. That is a major, like, this preview of where we are going and why we are looking at stand your ground laws this coming week for week 3. So again, Nicole, thank you for your contribution there. Love Always Tish says, I'm from West Virginia, and there are so many towns we don't even like. There are so many sundown towns we don't even like to go out in daylight now, baby. Woo! Now that's deep right there. Now I don't even want to be seen in the daylight. That is serious. Oh, Scotty says, hey, I'm in Irvine. Scotty, you know what I'm talking about then. Right? Irvine is a very serious place. Sarah says absolute truth for Orange County. And I will say this, right? Let's go back to Irvine really quickly. Let me put y'all up on game with something. I have always stated, and I will stand on this point, that the University of California at Irvine is the seat of white supremacy for the UCs. It is the seat of white supremacy for the UCs. A lot of people say that California prisons and jails are just like crazy violent. Outside of Rikers in New York, California is just insane. A good reason for that is that the research in terms of bodily discipline and what happens in those places, that's done at the University of California, Irvine, in the Department of Criminology, Law, and Society. They have a state-funded program in that department that's overseen by a professor that does the research along how much pain can a human body withstand, how much can, so CDCR has a direct connection to the University of California, Irvine. It is the seat of white supremacy for the UCs. I know what I'm talking about. Go look it up. And another reason I know what I'm talking about, because I was there and I had to get up out of there. All right. So But look that up, right? I actually should do a TikTok around that. Like, so these things aren't divorced from one another. The university spaces, right? The political spaces, the racialized spaces, the gender spaces, these things aren't connected from one another, right? They're all there. Nina Hawk says Jasper, Texas. There's that. Even Houston, Texas. Hello. C says I live near Yuba City, California, northern. It's a red city. It used to be a sundown. Well, there's that. Amen says Hillman Talk University. Hey, we are up in here. We are jamming for today. Scotty says I'd say to not to South OC for sure. To not go south, OC for sure. Absolutely, 110% correct. SoCal native, who is this? Crystal says SoCal native, and you are telling the entire truth. Listen, let me tell y'all something. Malcolm X told us what was going down with California when he called California Mississippi West. A lot of people think California is where you go to, feel the blessings of liberty and to live in the liberal state and be amongst those who are free thinking and, oh my gosh, the sun is out, dude, and like we're just cool among the people. Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. Malcolm X called Los Angeles and by way of that, the state of California, Mississippi West for a reason. LAPD ain't no joke. Our sheriff's department here ain't no joke. Malcolm X called it Mississippi West for a reason, and I'll just leave that there, right? Okay, there's that. Iani, I think that's how you pronounce her name, says show is. Jade says, awesome, thank you. Iani Ford says, I'm loving this class. Well, come on in. And we have a lot more material for you, Iani Ford, on my profile. Under the playlist, we have the lectures for weeks 1 and 2. We are headed into week 3. Lectures are posted on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you can catch me bouncing around in the comment section, replying to people on video. What were they saying about OC? I'm in Irvine. Jacob, what we were referring to is the particular fact of Orange County being a sundown town, and particularly we were looking at Irvine as an example of that. Simply Marie says, hey nephew, hey, how you doing? Glad to be here. How you doing? I love when folks call me nephew. It's just it's amazing. But hey, it's me. Okay, I live in Chicago, Southern Illinois, in North. This is coming from Tia. Tia says I live in Chicago, Southern Illinois, in North, closer to Wisconsin, border sundown town. Let me tell y'all about Wisconsin and that Chicago border. My word, you are not lying at all, Marie. You are not lying. Excuse me, Tia. You are not lying at all. Tiana says, my bad. I'm like, that's all right. Come on in, grab a drink, take a seat, do your thing. As speaking of grab a drink, let me drink some of this pineapple juice really quickly. All right. Angel says, should we forget that reparations will not happen and have a plan B? Listen, and there, I think there's some purchase to that question, Angel, that, through thinking about what reparations would look like for Native and Indigenous folks, through thinking about what reparations would look like for Black folks, we know that those things are impossibilities. So yes, the plan B has to go into effect, and the plan B has to become the plan A. And what I am suggesting is that through everyday care, the way in which we care for one another, the way in which we look out for our community. Listen, some of us are old enough to know that back in the day, even though you was your mama's child, you was everybody's son. And at one point in time, anybody on the block could correct you. That's not necessarily the case nowadays. And what I am saying is that getting back to that community of care, and it wasn't necessarily about someone correcting you. It was the fact that you knew that Miss Eloise down the street really cared about you and held that community up. We knew the candy lady. We knew that we could not get a meal at our house. We could go to Miss Thelma. That was 3 blocks down from the corner, and Miss Thelma always had some chicken on the stove. You understand what I'm saying? To me, that is the plan B, that we see ourselves. Now here we go, right? Speaking of Black Lives Matter, that we make Black Lives Matter real for ourselves, that we know the names of our neighbors, that we start the community care that we need. We are who we need in this moment. Listen, yes, there's a shortage of eggs, but guess what, y'all? There's some Black farmers out there. So how do we support those Black farmers? And those Black farmers, in turn, support the community. You understand what I'm saying here? So in those communities, such as I grew up in Orange Center in Orlando, Florida, everybody looked out for everybody. So one person had a mower and could cut yards. Another person knew how to cook. Another person knew how to excuse me, another person knew how to repair cars. My grandmother was an educator, and what would she do on Fridays and Saturdays? It was a teach in her house. So somebody would cook all this food, right? And students from all over the neighborhood would be in my grandmother's dining room learning how to read. That is what I think we should be moving toward in terms of a plan B, how to show up for ourselves and make Black Lives Matter. We know that Black Lives Matter, right, to us and for us, but how do we make that real for ourselves as opposed to petitioning that type of recognition from the nation state? How do we bring that about ourselves? So that's my answer to that, Angel. That's just my particular viewpoint. I should have been there. Yes, Scotty, thank you. Scotty said, Addison is who you're trying to think of. Yes, that is absolutely who I was trying to think of. Every piece of land in the world was stolen. Listen, Noah, absolutely 100% correct. Let's see, agree we'd be better off. Okay, got that. I'm catching up. Okay, MLK Jr. said, Scouty, I hope you're still in here. I know I'm catching up, but I'm coming. This thing is telling me I have 100 plus messages to reply to, so I'm coming, y'all. But yes, Scouty said, MLK Jr. said, I fear I have integrated my people into a burning house. Yes, and he says that towards the end of his life. And so by the time that MLK realized what was happening, it was already too late, because he had integrated his people into a burning house. And that is a direct quote from MLK when he says, I fear I have integrated my people into a burning house. So there's that. All right. Oh, who taught you to hate yourself is back in here. Hey. He says, let's go there, Professor. Thank you for this knowledge. Okay, let's see. Shannon says, what about the separate but equal? Do you think that could have been achieved while being segregated? This is from Shannon. Shannon, this is a good point. Now, in terms of separate but equal, this comes up out of the Plessy versus Ferguson case, right? And I think that separate but equal within the context or the framework of the nation state is inherently unequal. So I see the point that you're making there, but the point that I am making through segregation, and what was happening for Black folks in that time is that all we had was to lean on one another. So in those particular times, we made our schoolhouses, right? We made our own food. We had our farms. We had our businesses, etc. Right? So when the state said separate but equal, that meant one thing. But when we are talking about a Black community that is allowed to be autonomous, that is allowed to be self-determinative, that is allowed to make things real and happen for themselves, those are necessarily two separate things, right? But I do think that your point is very well taken here, Shannon, and what you are mentioning when you say, do you think that that could have ever been achieved while being segregated in terms of separate but equal? And I think it was, what I'm saying is, I think it was already in play with Black communities, but the particular ways in which it became enshrined in law, because remember, Homer Plessy tried to get on that train, and they said, right? And all we wanted was desegregation to say we can sit wherever we want to sit on the train. I'm not sure if that answers your question, Shannon. If it doesn't, play something else down here, and I promise you I will catch it. All right. As a 60-year-old, I am enjoying this so much. Well, hey, Cindy, let me tell you something. If I'm looking at this profile picture and I can't tell, so you better come on, somebody. All right. So we are glad to have you in the house, Cindy, and thank you for being with us. All right. Let's see. Oh Lord, this thing done jumped all the way down. It said you have all these messages to catch up to. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Seneca Village. Thank you so much. I am Star Abracadabra. That's what I was looking for. Seneca Village was Central Park. That's what I was looking for. Thank you so much. I appreciate that because I could not recall it off the top of my head. Let's see. Oh my goodness! It's okay. So there's that. Okay. Now I know where I'm at in the comments. Sorry, my hat is down. I'm literally scrolling, so I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming. That's why we are here. We got whitewash history. It's time for truth. Oh, come on! Who taught you to hate yourself? I see you, Professor. Do you think we should still work together with other races to free ourselves? Or now, listen, Tia. I do think it's possible that we have allies and accomplices that helps us get this done. Right? When we talk about folks like John Brown, right, who jacked the whole entire ship and sailed up the river, right, to get things done. I think that's possible. However, in the event that we do not have allies, that we do not have accomplices, or they wake up on the wrong side of the bed on the right morning, We need to be able to get this done ourselves. And what I am saying is, I am not saying that the allies, accomplices do not have a role. What I'm saying is we need to make this real for ourselves in a way that could get this done. And we're thankful for allies, right? Everybody needs somebody. You will not get anywhere by yourself, right? Everybody's going to need somebody, but I think that we have what we need to be able to get this done, right? Like Hillman Talk is us coming to Hillman Talk, sharing our expertise. But guess what? I don't know everything, because let me tell you something. If you ask me to repair the plumbing in your house, I'm gonna have to refer you to my daddy, because I don't know what I'm talking about, right? But everybody has an expertise, and I think we can get it done for ourselves, right? Okay, so boom. Okay, let's see. To limit access to Black neighborhood, I'm not sure what that was in response to, because I'm just now catching up. I'm so sorry. Okay, moving towards creating our own ecosystem, Black owned. Hello, you know what? And first of all, this is a major selling point, if you will, of TikTok. I know there's things we can critique about it, but there are a lot of Black owned businesses on TikTok that get on here that share their product. Listen, I'm in that joint. I am in there. I will buy a body glaze from Stormy. I have my hair oils. I have switched over to Baskin Leather, right? If I can't get to my local shop down here by Napoli Naturals, I intentionally get in there. If there's a Black artist that has a piece I can afford, I'm on that. It's hanging on my wall, right? So I seek out those Black creators on TikTok. And I do think that TikTok has been good for us in terms of helping to build our ecosystem in terms of that. Alabama, it's their electric. Thank you, Marlene. Yes, it's their electric. So I'll do a separate TikTok around that. And some of you all who are just joining me, you'll get a chance to get a taste of what my regular TikToks look like. They're not too far from what we're doing now. I'll say that. Yes, I saw that too. Okay, let's see. People say I saw that. Let's talk about MLK and his dislike for women. That comes from Nina Hawk. Woo, Nina, that would take an entire class, and I would have a lot of people upset with me. But listen, Ella Baker has a story to tell. The women of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference have a story to tell. The women who work with Reese Taylor have a story to tell. Rosa Parks has a story to tell. How the movement fathers would not let her be in charge of her own story. You need to read a wonderful book called At the Dark End of the Street, and it combines the stories of Rosa Parks and Reese Taylor, and they talk about how, oh God, I'm stepping in some stuff. Listen, if you at home, put on your seatbelt for just a little bit, because I'm about to say something and we all gonna be okay, all right? I promise we all gonna be okay. Just walk with me for a minute and we're gonna come back. But in these narratives, they talk about how the movement fathers, as they call them, right, were keeping the stories of Black women suppressed. This is how Ella Baker comes to create SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. She erects that, right? The Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was primarily Black women, right, were doing the movement work in Alabama. They already had the Montgomery bus boycott down. What they knew is that in order to have social purchase, they needed a man, so they called in MLK. MLK. So there's Black women who give MLK his platform, right? There's that on that. Here's the question that we have to, now, Black men, if you in here, I'm talking to us for a minute. Let's just have a moment. What we have to ask the question we have to ask ourselves is, why do we want white power in Black hands? We got to sit with that. Why is it that our models for leadership, our models of power and authority, we want the same thing, we just want it in Black hands? That can't necessarily be the case. So if we want freedom, if we want autonomy, we have to reimagine what leadership looks like. We have to reimagine what community looks like. It can't say, okay, well, we see what white folks have been able to achieve with the United States. We see what white people have been able to achieve with patriarchy. We see what white people have been able to achieve with heterosexism. We see what white people have been able to achieve with capitalism. We want to see, we see all of these things. And then we look at all of that and the damage that is done, and we say we want to be that too. So when we say we want to be equal to who? Equal to what? And equal for what? Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. I hope that, if it doesn't, let me know. Y'all cuss me out in the comments. I can handle it. I can take it, right? I teach all day, every single day of the week. But the point that I'm getting at in this comment coming up about MLK is reimagining and re-articulating what community looks like in our Black communities. Because, this idea, oh Lord, I'm about to step in some mess. Oh gosh. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. TikTok asked me to confirm something so we could continue the live. Anyway, okay, I'm about to step in some stuff with this MLK comment, right? Oh my lord. Okay, seatbelt time, right? It is a Western patriarchal ideal. Lord have mercy, help me, because I can feel the tension that's probably about to come off of this. That a man is the head of a household. That a woman should be subjected to and submitted to a man. That is a Western colonial archetype ideal. And for some reason, what we believe is that that should be normative, and we have not reimagined and re-articulated for ourselves what community looks like. And if the only reason that you can be a man is because some woman is in submission to you, that you have power over someone, then I would submit to you that you don't know who you are, and you have to re-articulate what that means and looks like for you. Okay, let's move on. All right. Now that we done came up out of that. All right, moving right along. Okay. Wow, that was incredible. I have never thought about segregation like that. Well, I hope you took away something from that, Jacob, and thank you for being here. LOL, I don't even feel bad saying it. We get let down so much. Hey, that's real, Skylar. Loving this class. Thank you for being here. Jacob, our perceived value does not come from who we sit next to. There's that too. Grace is in here. Grace says, I think he knows how much harm he's going to cause because he just doesn't give a F. That's true too, Grace. I know who you're talking about. He is still in. Okay, there's that. It feels as if Dems and Republicans are cahoots to some. Listen, okay, this is coming from Jade MBK. Jade, I will tell you this, right? Picture the United States as a bird. Picture the United States as a bird. Whether it be the left wing of the bird or the right wing of the bird or the moderate tail center, all wings float the same bird. All wings float the same bird. This is in part why W.E.B. Du Bois writes, I believe sometimes in the 1950s or 1960s, why he writes the piece, Why I Will Not Vote. Y'all look that up. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote that. Okay, we're being robbed and just watching it happen. Yes, Shannon, yes. And Shannon, I truly believe, like, there just has to be someone in the Pentagon, like, where are you? Y'all don't see this going down in front of your face? Y'all don't see this happening? Y'all don't see, like, come on, there has to be someone somewhere. Right? Okay, so there's that. Dr. Keisha, exactly. He's stealing. This lets me know how far I'm behind. I'm coming, y'all. I'm coming. It says definitely they are here to steal wealth of the middle class and poor. Okay, yes, absolutely. Okay, it's a theory. Okay, not only does he know this is what he wanted, this man is known for not holding up contracts. Hello, government heist in broad daylight. That's it, Lady Libra. That's it, in broad daylight with everyone watching. Yeah, it is live. It is live. Okay. Okay, Seneca Village was Central Park. Got that? Wow, didn't know that about Johnstown. Yes, Dr. Keisha, absolutely. Lenox Square Mall is built on top of Johnstown. Yes. Lizette says Dodger Stadium. Yes. And even though I am a huge LA Dodgers fan, absolutely. Dodger Stadium is built on top of Chavez Ravine. As a matter of fact, when Walter O'Malley built Dodger Stadium, if you walk just north, about 300 feet over third base, and you dig down, you will dig into the roof of the cafeteria of the elementary school building that was there, because the Dodger Stadium area, the Chavez Ravine area, was home to a very much thriving Chicano American community there, and they left that building intact as a sign of colonialism. Now, over the years, and I can explain this a little bit because people would say, okay, well, why would you be a Dodgers fan? Over the years, what has happened is that through the work of Fernando Valenzuela, when he came to Los Angeles, California, the community work that he has been able to do and how those of the Chicano population have reconciled Dodger Stadium to themselves, I'm down with that. And I stand in solidarity with the community. And so they cool, I'm cool. If it doesn't, work, then hey, we got to move on to the next thing. But nonetheless, Dodger Stadium, as what took over a community, it's absolutely 100% correct. And if you have not heard the story of Dodger Stadium, please go read more about Chavez Ravine in the communities there. And I will say this, for those of y'all who have been to Dodger Stadium, let's be clear about this. Baseball is a white sport. But when you attend Dodger Stadium is unlike any baseball stadium I have ever visited. I've always felt awkward in baseball stadiums, but Dodger Stadium is something just completely different. And there's a lot of work that Chicano people have done to make that stadium open and welcoming to everyone. And there's a reason why baseball stars like Mookie Betts wears t-shirts that says more black people are needed in baseball stadiums. So I go to support. I'm a huge Dodgers fan, and for the foreseeable future, for now, will always be, unless, something pops up. But nonetheless, right, there's that on baseball, but you're 100% correct with mentioning Dodger Stadium. Angie has a dog. Can you speak on the growth or targeting of black-owned credit unions in finance today? Yes, because we're taking up too much capital. Start in, boom, right? We're taking up too much capital. And I mentioned this in lecture 3 of week 2 about the venture capital fund for black women. Right? That was like, hey, black women aren't typically in this space. We want to start our own venture capital fund. And what did white folks do? They came in, they made a 14th Amendment claim. Catch it. They made a 14th Amendment claim and said, we deserve that money too. And what happened? A federal judge upheld that and said, yep, they're correct. They do have a right to access that money. And no, black women, you can't have your own venture capital fund because that excludes white persons. What does this constitute? Whiteness as property, which we studied this past week, right? So then what becomes centered what becomes centered and acknowledged in this instance is the entitlement, privileges, and protections of whiteness. And what has to happen in order for that to take place? The harms of black women have to be facilitated in order for those rights to be recognized. And that is the conundrum of law. That there will always be someone on the short end of that stick. And typically it is always black people, people of color, native and indigenous folks. And in this particular example that I'm using, it was black women. Okay. Skylar says, OMG, did not know that about Lennox Mall. Yep, there it is. Not a theory, but a fact. They can articulate the purpose of Doge. Okay, I'm not sure they can articulate the purpose of Doge and how. Okay, I'm not sure what that's about. Okay, freeway in Oakland as well. Absolutely, as well as the 10 freeway, right? Y'all know about Sugar Hill here in Los Angeles, right? That's where Hattie McDaniel lived. All of these folks lived. And what did? They drove the 10 freeway right through there, busted all that up. And if you drive on that part of the 10, you will see where the community was discontinued at. A lot of black and Latino folks were displaced because of that. I had no idea about Lennox Mall. You do now. So go look that up. Yes, Johnsontown. That Lennox Mall sits on top of Johnsontown. And then look at who owns that mall. And now you understand like how this displacement things happens. Okay, question: Mexico and how it's tied to Black history, please. Right. So if we go back in the day, we know that a lot of black folk, right, fled to Mexico during the time of enslavement because Mexico was not enslaving folks. Right. Excuse me. This is what in part helps to create the solidarity in part between black folks and Mexican folks, right? Now we understand not necessarily all, and that's fine, right? But I'm just speaking to the history in broad strokes here. That's what helps create that solidarity. Also, right? Now let's not front. Now while these moments of solidarity was going on, people was dating and people was having relationships. So we do have a lot of our Mexican brothers and sisters that are going around who do not realize, oh yes, there's black in the blood. Hallelujah. Right? and they need to reconcile those worlds. They need to do that work, right? But nonetheless, that's a brief history on that. There is more to that. Somebody says, yes, Jasmine Crockett. Love Jasmine. Yes, I love her. Protect her. Yes, sir. Protect Miss Crockett at all costs. Ooh, I am really behind. I'm catching up, y'all. That's all they get for me. They stand on business even though it is the wrong business. Listen, that's real, Skylar. That's real. Pelosi and Schiff are holding them back. They are, listen, please don't get me started on Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff. They are both in my state. And what Adam Schiff did to get in that seat in the Senate, I'm gonna leave that where that is. And I have critiques for Nancy Pelosi all day, right? Because while people do have their critiques of Kamala Harris and what she has done policy-wise in the past, right? That's its own separate conversation. But we very much need to have a conversation about, first of all, Joe Biden, when he first came into office, said that he was only going to do one term and then waited till the last minute to get, to jump out of the race. Part of him jumping out of the race was Nancy Pelosi pressuring him to get out of the race because she had an idea of the candidate that she wanted to get in and did not want Kamala Harris in that seat. Because I said this on the last live, Kamala Harris is not a student of Nancy Pelosi. She comes from a different political camp. And the way in which y'all study that history between Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi and find out how, oh, never mind. Just look it up. I'll just put that there. Just look it up. Okay, so Tia says, child, me too. The Dems too stuck on following the rules to hold Republicans accountable, but be FFR. I understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure if I can say those words on TikTok Live. I'm not sure how sensitive it is, but I feel you. In either case, let's be very real about this, right? Like when Republicans say they're going to do something, they do it. Democrats are trying to play by the rule book in a street fight. Baby, when it's a street fight, it's a street fight. The rules are out the window. When they go low, go lower. Like, that's just what it is. Go low, lower, and lowest. Listen, mad respect to Michelle Obama, but when they go low, I'm not going high. When they go low, I'm going to hell. Like, that's just what that is. I know we all have our different politics and aesthetics, and that's fine. I'm just letting you know where I'm situated at, but I respect and love everybody. I keep hearing white people say slavery was so long ago, they need to get over it. Well, listen, and they can say they have their right to say that or whatever they oh, Lord, I'm getting tongue twisted. They have their right to say that and whatever it is they want to say, but the effects of that are still very real. Brown versus Board of Education is an effect of what happened in enslavement. Plessy versus Ferguson is an effect of what happens in enslavement. Regents of the University of California versus Bakke is an effect of what happened in enslavement. And certainly Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard University in 2023 is an effect of what happened in slavery. Why? Because these universities said, listen, we are aware of what has happened historically, and we want to help to reconcile that by making sure that black students get into Harvard. And those students came together and said, nope, no, you won't, because they're taking our seats as if they were entitled to them in the first place. So they'll be fine, but these are the facts. Okay, Oakley Museum of California pays a land tax to an indigenous organization to support the community. More of this. Yes, Taylor, and that's fine and that's great. And hey, I'm happy about a land tax. That's good. But what I see that is, now here's the critical insight, right? This is what a critical race theorist would say to that, Taylor, that yes, they pay a land tax to indigenous organizations to support the community, but that is a giveaway from a neoliberal nation state, because what should be given back is the land in autonomy, but the nation state will not cede that, right? So what are the particular ways in which harms are continued by way of simply paying a land tax to an indigenous organization as opposed to moving out the way? Right? That would be like me breaking into someone's house and then me saying, I'm taking over everything you own. It's mine. And here, I'm going to give you $1 a month. That's not reparative justice, right? Malcolm X said, if you want to repair something and you stab someone in the back, you don't just take that knife out 3 inches. No, you got to remove the knife. You got to dress the wound. You got to put it back together. Okay, it says Addison says, in real time, we are watching Trump strip rights of everyone, regardless of color. Listen, facts are facts. But we need folks in other communities to understand and realize that, in which case they are now waking up to realize that, oh my gosh, I regret my vote. But the irony in this is that you have the social and political privilege to be able to regret your vote. Because you know that whiteness as property will do its work to make sure that you will be okay at the end of the day. Why? Because whiteness as property ensures that while you will not necessarily win, that you won't lose. We covered that in this week's lecture during the week 3 lecture, I believe. Okay. I would tell them about the civil rights, Jim Crow, etc. All of it. Okay. Oh, okay. You're replying to someone. Okay. As a white person, how do we get rid of sundown towns? Honestly, I don't have the answer to that question because I'm not the architect of one. Right? This is something, Hillbilly Honey Badger, and thank you for being here, and thank you so much for your question and asking and being willing to do the work. That is something that, white folks would have to come together and say, listen, how do we get rid of this? I didn't erect the sundown towns. I can't tell you how to tear it down, right? What I do know is how to preserve and protect myself and the people around me and to make sure that we are good, but that is not my work to do, right? So, that would have to be figured out. Okay. Jane, Janet, this is Jane, this is Jane. Okay, that's a unique username. Says whiteness as property is such a powerful concept. Yes, it is, and it's not only is it a concept, it is actually real. That is why Cheryl Harris walks us through these cases and shows us how law propertizes whiteness. I found out about sundown towns on TikTok. Yes, Nicole, and that's why TikTok is a powerful venue. Yes, we have critiques of it, that it does certain things, but it is a very, very powerful thing. Okay, I never made the connection between stand your ground laws and sundown towns, but yes, thank you. There it is, Jane. Absolutely. TMZ is me says, I'm here to learn as a white Gen X woman. Thank you for sharing. Well, hey, TMZ is me. Welcome on into the space. We thank you for being here, for learning. No, we appreciate that. Each one reach one, each one teach one. Scotty says UCI. Damn. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I see somebody, Sandy Rodriguez, shared the live, and it looks like she is a Delta as well. So shout out to the sisters of Delta Sigma Theta. And of course, we saw Sigma Gamma Rho earlier. So shout out to the D9 that may be in the house. Mindy says, you were on my FYP, sir. So happy to be in class. Well, so happy to have you here, Mindy, and to be a part. This is our Saturday community live session where we just come together, we shoot the breeze and see what is going on. If you need to jump into the lectures that are taught throughout the week, they are all available on my profile under you'll see it. There's a playlist. It's the only playlist that's up there. It's Hillman Talk You CRT. Greetings from Tennessee, the blue part. Memphis. Very familiar with sundown towns in this state. Well, hi there, T her is your username. Shout out to Memphis. Listen, I mess with Memphis hard. Memphis has always been nuck if you buck. You meet anybody from Memphis, you riding with a show enough rider for real. Memphis folks will ride with you like four flat tires in the spare in the trunk. So shout out to Memphis. Memphis ain't never did wrong by me. I will tell you that. Did anyone mention the book Sundown Towns, A Hidden Dimension of American Racism by James W. Lowen? Well, there you go. Okay, so there's that to take into consideration. There's a book recommendation coming from the community. Okay, I think Colorado Springs might be one. I used to live there. There's that, right, in terms of sundown towns. D said, I love this class. Thank you so much for being here. I heard that Alvin, Texas used to be a sundown town and still completely empty after dark. Listen, we all know what it is. These things are legacy. The Village, Sandy Rodriguez says. Village mentality was the norm. Absolutely, somebody said, exactly, even if reparations won't happen, I love keeping the conversation going and not letting America forget. There's that too. There is something to be said about keeping these things within the consciousness of America. Baby doll Bree says, couldn't act up anywhere. Sure enough, true, right? Yes, we need more community in each other. Absolutely. Oh, the Candy Lady, core memories unlocked. Yes, gotta listen. Candy Ladies used to be it, okay? Get you 2 packs of Now and Laters for 50 cents, right? Get you 4 blow pops for $1. Get you a flip. Some of y'all call it an icy cup. I'm from the South. It's called the flip, all right? Get you a flip for $1. You know, all of that. What happened to that village? Why do y'all think that mindset has disappeared? I think the development from my personal point of view, I think it is the, and by the way, this is Nyla, I believe that asked that question. I think it's the development of the me, my, and I mentality, right? That I must have this, I must have that. And we can also talk about how reality television plays into this as well. But I don't want to get too deep into that in case Andy Cohen come across this live. Anyway, because we can definitely talk about how he extorts black women, but we'll get to that another day. Addison says, we as black people are so divided how we think, how we interact with each other. Very true. Shauna says, we need each other more than we think. Absolutely. Won't have no argument for me on that one. Scotty says, yes, if we acted up 10 blocks away, we came home with a beltway. Sure did. Listen. And the way that I grew up, not only was you going to get tore up down the street, when you got home, you was going to get round 2. And that's just what that is. Our power comes from our unit. I believe that this is slowly coming back. I hope so, Addison. I remain hopeful of that. Thank you, Professor. Well said. No problem. I'm not sure what I said, but no problem. Addison says, our power comes from unity. I feel a change since this administration. Oh, yes. And definitely with Hillman Talk as well, right? In terms of just how we all came together, right? Shout out to Professor Barlow for making that mistake that set us on the right track, which I believe just the genius in black women in that even in a mistake, a community of organizing and gathering has been made possible, right? Okay, let's see. Okay, we got community discussion going on here, which is great. I love that you all are adding one another. This is absolutely outstanding. Let's see. Okay, I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I'm catching up. I promise you, I'm catching up. Sorry about seeing the brim of my hat. Scotty says they've been playing our faces on so many levels. Listen, playing all the way down. Okay, Ambi says Lock Growth Oil by the Lock Doctors is on TikTok as well. Black owned. Boom. There you go. So if y'all know black businesses on TikTok, put them in here. Shout these people out, right? That's how we can get this stuff done as well in terms of collective community organizing. Yeah, I am interested in that story as well. Okay, I think you might be replying to someone there. They've been playing. Okay, read that one. Nope. Equity. You are making sense. Okay, I'm glad I am. Yay. Makes a lot of sense. Agree with the point about equal to who. Got some claps from Brittany. I'm not sure what those claps are in relation to, but Brittany, shout out. I'm so glad you're here. Minnie says no. Please go on. That's true of the Black Panthers as well. The collective of black men want. Oh, wait. I gotta stop right here. Who taught you to hate yourself? Hold on. Wait a minute. Okay. More book recs coming in. Here we go. On Black Panthers, you must read A Taste of Power by Elaine Brown. She is the only black woman who serves as the chairwoman of the Black Panther Party. So it's called A Taste of Power, A Black Woman's Story. Now, along these lines of black women, of black men, and reimagining what leadership and articulation looks like. And what am I talking about when I'm critiquing the civil rights movement, the Black Power movement, etc.? I'm talking about folks like Eldridge Cleaver. Yeah. Get into this book. The book is appropriately titled Soul on Ice because his soul had to be on ice in order to do some of the things that he talked about in this book. In this book, I struggle with saying this brother, but in this book, Eldridge Cleaver says that he practiced SAing black women so that he could SA white women in the name of justice. You know what that is? Patriarchy. Patriarchy. And if that is what your model of what a possibility looks like, we got to start having some different conversations because what in the what? No. Right? Like we know what the end work of that looks like. We know better. We've been taught better. Come on now. Like that's just, oh my gosh. Anyway, but that's some of the critique. Say, okay, patriarchy is the problem. Listen, is it this falsehood that has limited us? Yes, Leela, because or Lila, Lila, I'm not sure if it's Lila or Leela, but it's a beautiful name. But yes, it has limited us. And this is why I started this course with the social contract, right? And again, that's available on my profile. Just click, you'll see the week 1 lectures, right? This is why I started, with the social contract and dealing with the racial contract, because it's not just about what happens, what is permissible legally, right? And what happens with the creation of the United States. It is about, to Lila's point, what we think is possible for ourselves. You all, paradigms are powerful. Paradigms are powerful. And if all you've seen is limitation, if all you've seen is the inner city, if all you've seen is I can't do, if all you've seen is people in leadership who don't look like you, and if all you've seen are harmful models of what manhood looks like, if that's all you have seen, then what you must necessarily start to reimagine is what is a possibility for you. So these things, when we talk about whiteness as property, when we talk about the social contract, right? Even when we talk about things such as stand your ground laws, because now we know we can't even have our babies outside without them potentially getting mowed down. What does that do to the psyche of a developing adolescent who thinks that, oh, I can't even be outside at night and enjoy the stars and possibly look through my telescope? That limits the imagination. That limits the possibility of our next scientist. Do you understand what I'm getting at here? This is not just about legal limitations or legal delimitation. It is about what you think is possible for yourself as a person. And that when we get down into whiteness as property, when we get down into these different areas, even as it relates to white folk, it begins to pull off for them who they think they are so that you can get in touch with your own self. One of the exercises that I do with my students, I do this every single semester or quarter, depending on where I'm teaching at, is I turn off all the lights in the room on purpose. And I ask them, now who are you? Without that whiteness, who are you? Without that blackness, what limits are now taken off of you? Without that brightness, who? Because all of these constructs of the Western colonial ideal have superimposed onto us both limitations for some people and crazy possibilities for others. And what I'm saying is that by learning the social contract, learning the racial contract, learning whiteness is property, etc., it allows us to understand that we are all living in a colonial regime that is the product of someone's imagination, someone being folks like Thomas Hobbes, folks like John Locke, who we went over in week 1, that we are living in their political imagination. And that imagination comes with limitations for some folks. And if we can dare to step out on faith and trust ourselves and say, outside of the limitations that society has placed on this blackness, what do we think is possible for ourselves? Then, now, we got movement. Okay, I'm going to come off of that. All right. African societies were matriarchal. Yes. Keep talking, Professor. 92% of women can handle this. Okay. Got it, Nita Hawk. Got you. Addison says, preach. Oh, my Lord. Am I preaching? I'm so sorry. I hope I'm not going too deep into the weeds here. Okay, that is the administration is trying to push today. Let's see. Say that. Let the church say it, man. I guess I'm sounding. Sound like I'm preaching. Oh Lord. Okay. The patriarchal stirs are nothing to approach. There's that. LOL. And okay, let's move on. I'm so glad you said that. I felt that way for a long time. There go structures, not stirs. Oh, gotcha. From the previous comment. Okay. I'm Lakota Sue, and we're matriarchal. It seems more natural to me. There it is. Okay. All wings float the same bird. There it is. That was a good read. Both parties started off racist, so I don't rely. Listen, hello. That's exactly why W.E.B. Du Bois said, listen, I'm not voting in this, right? That's the reason why he said that. No one doing anything to stop them. Yes. Wow, I didn't know that. I'm not sure what that's. That probably might have been in reference to Dodger Stadium. I say that Wrigley Field is a stadium that definitely is predominantly white. Listen, it's everywhere, Calypso, right? There's a reason why Mookie Betts wears that shirt that says that more black people are needed in the stadium. You just have to understand that. And even me as a baseball lover, you know, when I visit certain stadiums, it's not too cute. And so, but when I come home to Dodger Stadium, listen, it's lottie-dottie everybody. If you want a party, you go to Dodger Stadium on Friday night. A lot of people ain't even paying attention to the game. That's how crunk Dodger Stadium is. Shout out to the Dodgers. And my favorite player, Teoscar Hernandez. If somebody knows him, tell him that Antoine, that's my boy. I love Teoscar. Okay, anyway, all right, let's see what else. Then they claim reverse racism. Shannon, I definitely addressed this this particular week in my TikToks. One of the things that we have to understand about reverse racism, when that claim is leveraged, okay? What that is implicitly stating is that they understand that society in its origins is orchestrated along the lines of race and racism. And that's what they're asking for. So when they say reverse racism, they're saying, oh, you're treating me how we treat you, and that's not allowed. So whenever somebody says reverse racism, my ears instantly always perk up, because that lets me know that they understand that society is organized by race and racism. When it comes to our thinking and our processing, right, we have to begin to invert our thinking. So when someone says reverse racism, what is it that they are implicitly stating? That they understand that society is organized along the lines of race and racism, and that it privileges them, and that they don't want to happen to them what they did to you. There's that. Calypso says, question, in your upcoming lectures, do you discuss LGBT in the black community historically? Not in this particular one, Calypso. This is an introduction to critical race theory, but I do get to gender. I do get toward gender. We do read the Combahee River Collective in week 4, but this is something that I could definitely come back towards in terms of discussing the LGBT community in the black community historically, because as a community, even though we acknowledge MLK, right? We acknowledge Rosa Parks. A civil rights leader that we do not acknowledge as a black community as a whole is someone like a Marsha P. Johnson, who is a black trans woman who turned Stonewall upside down and inside out. Hello. We do not give credence to someone like a Lady Chablis, right? Who taught RuPaul everything that he knows. So I'm about to step in some stuff. Here we go. Oh, Jesus. Calypso, why would you do this to me? Listen. At the end of the day, RuPaul is a cisgendered queer black man who is a drag queen. The person who taught RuPaul everything they know is a black trans woman by the name of the Lady Chablis. She has a wonderful book called Hiding My Candy. And what does it mean that a cisgendered queer black man is out in the forefront and there's been no credence given to the work of a black trans woman by the name of the Lady Chablis? I'm going to get off that. Because even black gay brothers, come on. We got to do the work. It's not just the fact that, oh, I'm black and I'm gay. We got to do the work. I'm in this boat with you. Listen, we got to do the work. These are the intersections. We got to deal with this. Okay, I'm finding all this so difficult to digest. How can we continue to learn without becoming hopeless? Not in here, because it is the shoulders upon which we stand that gives us the hope, that gives us the inspiration for tomorrow. That those who laid the foundation. Right above me is Coretta Scott King, right? In the work that sisters like her have done, give us shoulders to stand on. Yes, so that is where the hope comes from. I do not place my hope in the United States. I place my hope in the people, in my people, and what my people have made possible for me. I have been educated at an HBCU, Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia, that allowed me to go on to UCLA. I shouted out one of my professors earlier, Dr. Cece, who was on here. The work of the black community allowed me to go on to UCLA to get my advanced degrees up to the doctorate level, right? And that is what inspires the hope, that we have hope in one another. Right? Now, there's an old hymn that somebody in here might know that says, well, I need to change it around a little bit. I need to adapt it. So I'm going to say, my hope is built on nothing less than blackness and righteousness. All right, I got to adjust it that way. But some of y'all understand where that comes from. And that is why we do not lose hope. We stand in that hope. We understand what is going on, because at the end of the day, Nat in here, we know that we know how to survive in these spaces, that we know how to lean on one another, and we retain that hope because we understand the reality of America. And in that reality of America, we etch out spaces for one another. We etch out possibilities for one another, and we raise the community and say, despite the fact we are still here, and like Maya Angelou, still I rise. All right, on to the next one. I would love to hear you speak on Pelosi. Listen, Mindy, I'm going to need a whole nother live for that one, or just a whole nother TikTok. Right? Okay, I'm catching up, y'all. Your first merch item t-shirt. When they go low, I'm going to hell. Yes, Scotty. 110%. Listen, and I respect Michelle Obama. You know, hey, shout out to her. She's done wonderful things. They have some dedications to her on Princeton's campus. I did teach there a few summers in a row. I taught a summer program there. But listen, everybody's ethic is not when they go low, we go high. I'm not built like that. No, when you go low, I'm going to hell. The way that I'm built, and listen, y'all can critique me in the comments. Y'all can let me know, no, brother, you need to grow, and I can accept that. I can receive that, right? But the way that I'm set up is, I believe that most people are aware of what they are doing when they do it. So when you do it, I'm gonna let you know I see you. So that way, when you step back over here again, or you will think twice about doing that again. That's just the way I'm set up, right? Y'all can help me out in the comments if I'm wrong for that, but that's just the way I'm set up. But Scotty, that is hilarious. When they go low, I'm going to hell. It's true. Okay, Miss Barbara, why did they tell us to forget about slavery, but never tell Jews to forget about the Holocaust? I think that's because of the implications of slavery in United States history. That's why, right? I think because the United States, even though, you know, we could talk about the United States and its implications toward the Holocaust, the slavery, and what took place there has significant implications in the United States. And a lot of people in this nation understand that their subject position, even if they are not wealthy, they understand that their subject position or their social location within society is a product of enslavement and the processes that came out of that, such as the Black Codes, such as the Jim Crow era, etc. Right? Let's see. That wasn't long ago. I'm not sure what that's in reference to, but I would have to come back to that. Okay, 47's cognitive decline is severe. Elon and Miller are your presidents. I mean, hey, you don't have no argument for me there. Let's see. Oh, pardon me. I should have muted the mic. Oh, Lord, that was horrible. I'm so sorry, y'all. Okay. Jessica Terry. They're also not being honest about why they voted the way they did. Hello. And Jessica, if we want to roll it out, the reason why they voted the way they did is that because, you know, they'll say, hey, if we can't have it, you can't have it either. You're taking our stuff. There goes that whiteness is property that we learned about this week in lectures, right? Reparations aren't charity. You're correct. Reparations are not charity. Reparations are what's owed. J to the G says the lectures are outstanding. Hold on before I get to J to the G. Let me go back to this. Reparations aren't charity. They sure are not. They are what is owed. So when AT&T sends that bill, AT&T says, listen, you ain't no charity to pay our bill. That's what is owed for the services rendered. And baby, for the services rendered up in this here nation, you got to run a check, right? So there's that. All right, let's move on. Okay, J to the G says lectures are amazing. Thank you so much, J to the G. I appreciate you staying up with me. I really appreciate that. Don't go off live yet. I'm in the middle of lecture 3. All right, Christopher. I'm not sure if you're done yet, but I'm still here for now. Glendale, California was a sundown town. Absolutely. D9 love. Okay, I see the AKAs in the house. Shout out to Alpha Kappa Alpha. Shout it out for the AKAs here. T her. Shout out to you all. If you are in the D9, represent yourselves in here so I can shout you out. Colorado Springs is that way because of heavy military presence. Absolutely. So listen, we can also have the conversation about sundown towns, racism in the military, and how those things create a Venn diagram, right? But that's not today, because that's a whole other discussion in and of itself. What days are your lectures held? Hi, KF. Good to see you here. And I saw your comment, and I actually replied to one of your things. Lectures are held on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I try to upload them before 6 p.m. Eastern, which would be 3 p.m. my time. This week was a little bit rough, because I do work. I actually do teach during the course of the week, so sometimes it's a little bit behind. But KF, if you go on my profile, you will always see the lectures are uploaded there. I do try to upload them on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It's not necessarily that I go live. It's the fact that I pre-record them and I put them out there so folks can always have access to them. Then on Saturday mornings, like we are doing now, we just come together, KF, and we shoot the breeze. Folks put in their comments, they put in their thoughts, and then, we just shoot the breeze and see what's going on with one another, check in with one another, and create a space where we feel loved, valued, and seen. So thank you, KF, for being here. Tori says Arkansas in the building. What up, Arkansas? Can't forget about the work that was done in Little Rock there, as well as there's a powerful sister that comes out of Arkansas by the name of Johnny Tillman. Johnny Tillman, for those of you all who may have or know someone who takes advantage of SNAP benefits, affordable housing, different things of that sort, you have Johnny Tillman, who is a black woman, to thank for that, huh? Here, let's go back to MLK. Here we go. Let's get into it. MLK gets his whole economic platform and critique of capitalism in the United States from who? Johnny Tillman, a black woman who wrote the piece titled "Welfare is a Woman's Right." Read it. Read it, read it. That is a recommendation. That is a strong recommendation. So King gets his critique against capitalism from Johnny Tillman. Why? Because black women are having a very, very specific experience. And Johnny Tillman moves from Arkansas to California, and she establishes a community group with black women, and they start talking about these issues, right? Excuse me. So there is that. Oh, wait. Oh, Lord, did it fall off? There we go. Hold on. Okay, I did not want to do that in y'all ear. I know somebody cussing me out right now. I am so sorry. I tried to get this microphone off as soon as possible. Okay, anyway, I think I'm back. But nonetheless, it is Johnny Tillman who teaches MLK that type of platform and economic critique, right? And Johnny Tillman, moreover, getting the welfare rights movement going. By the way, the welfare rights movement is a part of the civil rights movement. That's where the capitalist argument comes from. Johnny Tillman was heading that up. I keep saying her name for a reason. If you never heard of Johnny Tillman, look that dear sister up. You understand? King was in the same room taking notes. Yellow. All right, moving right on along. Much in the way that W.E.B. Du Bois was taking notes from Anna Julia Cooper. But that's another story for another day, and we're going to move right on along. All right. Don't forget Penny Candy. Absolutely, 110%. Yes, me, my, and I, 110% agree. I'm going to see if I can speed up my scrolling a little bit quicker here so I can catch up to everyone. And thank you all for being in this community space that we have for one another. Definitely emphasis on the individual. Correct, the payment of reparations are being avoided because it goes against the validity of whiteness. Hello, yes, 110%. Nola is in the house. What is up? Yes, I love Nola. Y'all got some good seafood down there, and I am a seafood lover for sure. Let's see. Yes, I love book recommendations. I got you. They all up in here. This class helps us not to hate ourselves. Yes, J to G. The social contract is manipulated. There. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. As there is a person in here whose username is "Who Taught You to Hate Yourselves." And the work, the very real work, and the very serious work that critical race theory does is to restore the mind, of Black people. To restore the mind, to get you to love yourself, to get you to know that there is nothing wrong with you. It is the way that this society is constructed. There's nothing wrong with you. You are in your right mind, You are in your right soul. You are in your right spirit. You are in your right person. Yes, J to the G. That you do not have to hate. That it is not you. It is the colonial construct that has been built around you to make you believe that what you are seeing is real, when it is really the facade of the colonial Western imperial state that you reside in. Yes, J to the G. That is it. That critical race theory does the restorative justice work of putting Black folks back in our right minds, that there is nothing wrong with us and that we can do it for ourselves. You better preach, J to the G. All right. Woo! I did not anticipate that coming in, but it came in. All right. Stone Mountain, Georgia, and the KKK. Yes, as a matter of fact, Stone Mountain, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that is the Stone Mountain that has the KKK generals, or Confederate generals, rather, should I say. I mean, hell, all the difference, really. The same difference, really. That they have it etched into the side of the the mountain. All right. Let's see. J to the G says preach, but you just preach in the comment, J to the G. It says, come on now. Okay, we are living in their political imagination. Yes, you're not preaching, you're cooking. Hey, chef it up. Right? There's that. Don't be sorry for giving life 3 words. I try to do my best, Brandy. Shout out to you and love to you. Brittany says, Professor, you are preaching today. Oh, I try my best to inspire, and uplift. Jessica Terry says, is the real issue patriarchy or misogyny, or could one not exist without the other? Now, Jessica, if you ask me, that patriarchy necessitates misogyny, because in order to see yourself as a patriarchal figure, that means that you have to see women in a certain light. Hello. So if you're saying that I'm the head of the household, well, who's to tell, baby? Who's to tell? And there is, okay, now see, Jessica Terry, I hope you still here, because now you done put me in some stuff. Because now because there's this popular saying that the man is the head and the woman is the neck. Okay, so the woman is still subject to the man. Is that really what we out here believing? Let me move on from that, because y'all not about to have these people out here about to cuss me out. But Jessica, I'm with you. All right. Nicole says, I like Ice-T's performance for the Dodgers. Yes, and Dave was on that platform getting his life. Dave loves Ice Cube, so that was fun to see Dave Roberts doing that. Baseball fans, you know what I'm talking about. Can we also talk about how problematic the phrase strong Black woman is? Listen, Ambi, listen. Yes, and yes, right? That Black women are somehow not allowed this space to emote, to feel. And then when they do so, it's seen as this, oh, you got an attitude. No, I ain't got no attitude. Can we cuss on here? Are we allowed to cuss on here? But Ambi, all that say yes. I need to start a YouTube so we can really unpack that. But yes, Yvette says clock it. Nina Hawk says, who is they? Both parties are majority white. Very true. Shannon, yes, the more I learn, the more I'm able to invest in my thinking. There it is. Absolutely. Or invert my thinking. That's true too. Invest in invert. Calixto says, I've been overthinking with CRT and the folks moving outside of the U.S. Post election. Listen, there's a type of type of movement suggestion too, right? Moving outside of the U.S. What does that look like, and what possibilities are there? Lila says, respect to Marsha P. Johnson, 110%. Chris, okay, he's still here. Christopher John says, just finished lecture number 3. Really enjoyed it. Glad you enjoyed it, brother. Glad you enjoyed it. Midnight in the Garden. Oh! Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Curly Girl is my movie. Is my movie. And a lot of people did not know who the Lady Chablis was in that movie, but she was the first black trans woman to do it. And she's done also a lot of community work around HIV and AIDS as well. So shout out to the Lady Chablis. Clisso says, to expand though historically, we have to fight for acceptance in real time, even if we be here. True. I mean, but then the other side of that is like, do we want to be accepted? And what does acceptance look like? Acceptance in relation, like, to whom, right? So I hear you, but these are all things to think about. And do we need to renegotiate some things? Radical.brain.which says, we all have stuff to learn and unlearn. Hallelujah and amen. Yes, you will not get an argument from me there. Shout out to HU in the house. And we're referring to Howard University. Somebody shouted out Howard University. They are alum. Somebody was, say HU, but I'm from Morehouse, so I can't be doing that. But shout out to the Bison in the house. Shout out to the Bison. On the let's see. This was he who saves his country commits no crimes. I'm from the UK. Check out. Okay, got you there. Okay, let's see. TikTok is telling me to take a break. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm trying to maintain the hope that we still have these educational spaces in the future. We will. So there's that. I just love everything about you and how you share your knowledge. Thank you for standing for us. Absolutely. That's what I'm here for, Nina. Listen, my community created me. It's only the expectation that I come back and be of service to my community. No longer when they go low, we go high. When they go low, I'm going to... Yeah, listen, Calypso, would you like to join me on that trip? Absolutely. Let's see. Okay. Oh, Keith is in here. Hey, Keith. Keith says, amen. Okay, Addison says, we no longer turn the other cheek. Sure not. Milo says, oh, hell yeah, the bar is on the floor. Listen, so if you ask me, the bar is under the floor, okay? And they're trying to take our freedoms. Okay, it sounded like okay, I'm not sure what this person is posting, but okay. Okay, I don't think our forever First Lady still stands for the Go Higher quote anymore. I mean, hey, that could be a possibility. Let's see. They want us to fight to declare martial law. I don't know what this is going on in here. Some of these comments. But we gonna move on because one monkey don't stop the show. Okay. Who taught you? True. She was ready to throw and tell people, listen. Facts. Let's see. We aren't censored here, but yeah, okay. I'm not sure what that is. Did you discuss Kendrick Lamar's performance? I know it was our homework. Yes, that was discussed when I restarted this live. But we did discuss that a little bit. Welfare is a woman's right. Yes, that was the name of it. Let's see. Can you say the name of the book again? Oh, okay. Is somebody responded to you? So welfare is a woman's right. You can actually type it in. It's an essay. And it should be somewhere on the internet. They say it wasn't too loud. I know, but I just try to move my mic in those moments because I don't want to gross people out of those energies. Andrea says, I'm loving your energy. Oh, thank you so much. The social contract is manipulative. Damn, always felt this but never had that before. Yes, 110%. If you go back to week 1 of lectures that you can find on my profile in the playlist, we unpack the social contract. Let's see. I appreciate the mention of intersectionality of gender. The lesser is used as resource. 110% at the dark end of the street. Yes, at the dark end of the street is by Danielle McGuire. At the dark end of the street. At the dark end of the street is by Danielle McGuire. I just be thinking, lovely to see you here as always. Thank you. You know I got mad love for you. You've been riding with me for a minute. She says, you are on a roll today, sir. Listen, this is what happens when you get me in a live, because y'all know on my other TikToks, right? There's time to pull the script together to make sure it's coherent, get it in under 10 minutes. On TikTok Live, it's just raw, right? I just try not to cuss because I'm not sure if you can do that on TikTok Live because it is kind of sensitive. Oh, Jessica says, I'm here. Shout out to you, Jessica. What's up? Glad you're still here. We sick of the phrase ST. Okay, I'm not sure what that was. Oh, it says you can cuss. Oh, gotcha. That's what you refer to. Okay, I got you. Okay, Johnny Tillman, Anna Julia Cooper. Who else did I miss? Oh, we're just laying it out. We're just talking about how Johnny Tillman informed MLK's economic agenda and how Anna Julia Cooper was really the framework for W.E.B. Du Bois. But you know, and these are the critical sides of Black history, right? These are the names that are unacknowledged for the most part in Black history. So again, if you have that affordable housing, if you have SNAP, right, which first of all, you should not be ashamed of. That is a resource that you've worked hard for, you pay into, but shout out to our sister Johnny Tillman who made that possible. Only want to be accepted by those I care about, but demand to be respected. Hey, I'm with you on that. Hello, somebody. Because respect is the basic thing, right? At minimum, at least. Bringing back the separate but equal, I believe that it will make the Black family a lot stronger. Okay, so that is I am Dex, and you all heard my particular positions on that already. PJ, I wish I went to an HBCU. Listen, it's a beautiful place. It is a beautiful place. I don't care where you go. Howard, Morehouse, Spelman, Hampton, Clark, Atlanta, Prairie View. Find you somewhere. But HBCUs are beautiful campuses. In either case, this is my favorite class. Okay, Cass, that's what's up. We're glad to have you here in community with us. Brittany says, so Professor, with everything that was said today, should we separate and build our own community? Listen, there might be some resources that we need to go out into public and get, so to speak, but there is nothing wrong with building and sustaining our own communities, Brittany, and I'm 100% down for it. We got people that do hair, we got people that cut grass, we got people that teach, we got people that cook, we got people that know how to build houses, we got people that know how to do electricity. As we are building our own communities, however, what we have to undo is the Western mindset of thinking that we have to one up one another, get one over on one another, right? That freely you have given, that freely you have received, freely you should also give. So that's a part of that. But I do believe we need to be about the business of building our own joint, because when this joint goes down, our ship will be floating. Hello, somebody. So there's that. We can never be equal. The system was built. Yep, 110% correct. Do you post these lives to rewatch or post a list of books? Yes. The community taught me last week. Y'all got me together and said, yes, brother, you can repost the relive. So I will be reposting this. T. Her said, this is great. I appreciate you, Black man, completing my master's and about to start my PhD program. Come on in, T. Her. I believe, if my memory serving me correctly, you are the AKA. Go on. You can absolutely do it. Is a PhD program daunting? Yes, it is. I've been through one. However, and at the tail end of it, but you can do it, and don't you let nobody tell you different. And in the process, keep your mind, my dear sister, keep your mind intact, and you will make it through. Did I miss a lecture? Kabacha, you did not. The lectures are posted on my profile. You'll be able to see the lectures from weeks 1 and week 2. I'll also be posting a live after we conclude here. It says you can cuss if you set it to 18 plus. I don't remember setting it to 18 plus, so I'll just stay safe for now, but I'll do that for next time. I'll find out how to do that. Don't forget the woman who refused to sit on the back of the bus before Rosa Parks did. Shout out to Claudette Clovelin, right? Who, by the way, was pushed to the side by the fathers of the movement because she was pregnant. Now, did they do anything to the young man that she had relations with? No. Did they do something to her? Yes. You see what I mean, Black men? Come on, we got to step up. We got to do better. So where's the brother in the picture, huh? We had smoke for Claudette Clovelin. Nobody said nothing when it came to the brother. That obviously, she had a child with. It wasn't the immaculate conception up in this joint. She had some help getting that baby bump. Come on, somebody. All right, and with that, I am fully caught up. Boom. Yep, we can most definitely stand independently. There's that. That's I am Dex. And I walked through that and talked about my particular position on that and how we do need to build as a community, and the difference between segregation and integration. That's where these book recommendations came up. If you missed those book recommendations that I recommended today, I talked about reading Stokely Carmichael, Ready for Revolution, when he lets us know what was going on with King. After that, I talked about, in the context of that, I talked about John Lewis's book, Walking with the Wind, where he recalls a speech that MLK in cahoots with the FBI made him change his speech, because when John Lewis was in his younger years, not the congressman that we came to know, but John Lewis in his younger years was radical, and his speech was about to set it off, right? So we recommended that. We talked about Elaine Brown's A Taste of Power, a black woman's story. And then we also talked about Eldridge Cleaver's Soul on Ice. And because of the detail of that, I'm not going to recall that. But if you were on this live, you know exactly why this particular book was an issue, right? And why I got into that, right? So with that being stated, I'm going to be on for about 13 more minutes. So pop your questions in there. I think I wish there was a timer up here to let me know how long I've been on, because there was an internet interruption earlier, and I want to make sure that I'm giving you all the hour that I promised, right? And I'm not sure if I've been on for an hour yet, but I want to make sure that I stick by my word and make sure that I'm doing what I told you all I would do. So let's see. I'm convinced they want integration. They don't want us to become independent. Yes, PJ. PJ. First of all, yes. And right, it's thick, but it's worth it. It's going to tell you his life story. Stokely Carmichael shares his life story, but he gets into this integration segregation thing. And along those lines, incoming book suggestion, Kwame Ture, who is Stokely Carmichael, and Charles V. Hamilton writes this book, Black Power and the Politics of Liberation. And in this book, they theorize out what Black power is and what it means. It is also this book. For those of us who know the term institutional racism, it was first coined in this book by Charles V. Hamilton. He's a political scientist. And it was first termed in this book. Right? You got to get it. You got to get into this book. Do I have it highlighted? Do I have that section highlighted? I can read it out to you all if I have it highlighted. I may not necessarily have it highlighted. Oh, here we go. I do have it highlighted. Really, can you hold the other book back up? Okay, hold on. We can do that live. Yes, I'm sorry, but before I read it. So the first book, Stokely Carmichael, Ready for Revolution. Stokely Carmichael, Ready for Revolution. The other one, John Lewis, Walking with the Wind. This is the book where he talks about the speech that he wrote, how it had to be changed over. And Stokely Carmichael also talks about walking in on King, working with the FBI and what they did with the March on Washington. And then John Lewis gives his account in that, among other things, in Walking with the Wind as well. Then we talked about Black women in leadership in the movement in that particular moment. We talked about Elaine Brown, A Taste of Power, a Black woman's story. She is the only Black woman who is a chairwoman of the Black Panther Party. Elaine Brown, A Taste of Power. We talked about Eldridge Cleaver, Soul on Ice, and we said how problematic of a text this was, simply because of the things that he did in this text. This is a very for lack of a better term, graphic and forward text. So there is that. And then lastly, I am coming to Black Power, the Politics of Liberation. And before I read the passage out of here on what Black Power is so that we can be clear about it, let me go back in and make sure I'm answering folks' questions here. I'm convinced, okay, so I read that. You said the town was Johnsontown for Lenox Mall. That is correct. Lenox Mall is built on top of Johnsontown. And if you want more information on Johnsontown, you can actually go to the library in the Atlanta University Center. Their library there, you can go to their archive research center and ask them for the Johnsontown collection that you want to look at the pictures and different things of that sort. And you'll see the Black community that was there before Lenox Mall was erected. And now, if you ask me how I know that, because I worked that collection. So there's that. Also, could you talk a little bit more about that question? I'm not sure which question, Jade, so let me know so I can come back and do that. I'm about to order that right now. Can I screenshot the book? I hope it'll hold them back up. You all were able to see. You can't watch what's out of view. That's why it's, I think they want integration. Hello! Yes, you cannot surveil what's out of view. So integration becomes a means by which not only is it economically beneficial, that's why Target backed up on that thing, right? But also so you can keep an eye on what's going on in those communities. Very insightful and on point commentary there, Cass. Can you hold the book back up? Yep, I saw that and held it up immediately. Have you made a remaking Black Power, how Black women transformed in era? Do I have that up there? I think I do. Yo, I have quite a few books up here. But yes, that's in my collection. That's in my collection. I do have that. I also have When the Revolution Has Come. Yes. Okay. Can I see the cover again? PJ, I think I held the cover up again. If you didn't get it, type it again so I know which one so I know which one to hold up. Can you do a TikTok with only book suggestions? Please, you have so many good book suggestions. Yes, KF, I can make sure I do that. I am Dex says, got it. Okay, as you teach me, I teach my daughter. Listen, each one teach one. We are in this, Addison, and I love that. You just did actually. Thank you. Okay, cool. You can't control it either if it's out of you. Come on, Shannon. That's 100% incorrect. Correct too. You gotta, in order to see it, you gotta surveil, and surveil allows you to control. Yes, that is a police tactic. You are 100% correct, Shannon. I don't think we should go back to Target. I think we should continue on with our plans. Listen, and that's exactly what we're doing on this end, at least in this household. So that's why they violently destroyed successful separate black communities. Hello, Mindy. Hello. Pick it up. You got it. Exactly why they destroyed the communities. Okay, PJ says, I got it. Thank you for everything. Not a problem at all. Now, as we move toward wrapping this up, don't forget Paradise Valley of Detroit. There's that. As we move toward wrapping this up, the claim for a lot of folks, not necessarily those here on this slide, but I just want to make it clear. Again, in this text, this is the text that coined the term institutional racism. That was done by Charles V. Hamilton. That comes about during the 1960s so that black people are mapping their experiences onto society in a particular way. Also in this text is defined black power. And again, as to what J to the G said earlier, I want us to understand that these terms have been coined for us to understand ourselves, right? To reaffirm ourselves. And what does this mean? What does the term black power mean? And it's not its opposite, white power, that they be talking about. This is what they say in the text, right? They say the adoption of the concept of black power is one of the most legitimate and healthy developments in American politics and race relations in our time. The concept of black power speaks to, here's the definition, all the needs mentioned in this chapter. It is a call for what? It is a call for black people in this country to unite, to recognize their heritage, to build a sense of community. It is a call for black people to begin to define their own goals, to lead their own organizations, and to support those organizations as well at the same time. It is a call to reject the racist institutions and values of this society. What is he talking about? He's talking about Western world colonization, to reject that and to start to erect and build our own. All of this ties into the conversation that we've been having. They continue and they say the concept of black power rests on a fundamental premise. What is that premise? Here it is. Dex, I'm thinking of you. Dex, I hope you're still in here. That it rests on a central premise. What is the premise? Quote, Dex, this is for you. Before a group can enter the open society, it must first close ranks. That is in the book. By this, we mean, what do they mean by close ranks? They say, by this, we mean that group solidarity is necessary before a group can operate effectively from a bargaining position of strength in a pluralistic society. Traditionally, each new ethnic group in this society, pick it up, catch it. So Dex is on page 44. He says, traditionally, each new ethnic group, y'all better pick this up, because they are putting it down. Traditionally, each new ethnic group in this society has found the route to social and political viability through the organization of its own institutions with which to represent its needs within larger society. Studies in voting behavior, specifically in political behavior generally, have made it clear that politically the American pot has not melted. Now, this is what they're saying. Italians vote for Rubino over O'Brien. Irish vote for Murphy over Goldberg, etc. This phenomenon may seem distasteful to some, but it has been and remains today a central fact of the American political system. Page 44. Page 44. This, by the way, this is published, the copyright is 1967. That's straight from the text of what black power is and what it is not. Black power is not about taking folks out. It's about community uplift and community building. Yes, Scouty, close ranks. That's what he said. That's what he said. He said, close the door. Close the door so we can come in here and have a family meeting and get on the same page. While everybody may not agree, there are some things that we need to agree on. Everybody needs a house, everybody needs food, everybody needs clothing. The brothers Kwame Ture and Charles V. Hamilton said, close them ranks, close them doors. That is too many people in this house. He said, close that door. You letting out my cool air. That's what he said. All right. I am Dex said, powerful read, brother. He said, powerful read, brother, powerful. Wow, I am ordering this book 10 times for each family member. We black. Listen, Dex, I thought of you because I saw the comments and I said, yeah, this one is for you. This one makes it clear, right? This one makes it clear, right? So, in either case, my wonderful people, this has been our second Saturday session live. If you are unfamiliar, this is Introduction to Critical Race Theory with Hillman Talk University. In this particular course, the lectures are posted Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. They are available on my profile. You'll see where it says Hillman Talk U CRT. Week 1 lectures are posted. Week 2 we have just completed. That is up. And then week 3 we are now beginning to start. And we are going to start with originating standing your ground. Now that we know what whiteness is property is, now that we critique the social contract, now we're going to move into originating standing your ground and understand how they come to have these stand your ground laws by way of whiteness as property. And then of course, throughout this process, we're doing this for February. The course runs from February 1st to February 28th. Each Saturday, we link up. We do this. We get in the chat. We talk our stuff. We give insights, opinions, comments, all of those things. We're going to do that each and every Saturday in Black History Month, and then we'll see what happens thereafter. But in either case, thank you all so much for being in community for me and then being in community with me and then allowing me to be in community with you. Thank you as an educator. One of the things that I always thank my students for, and I want to thank you all for, is thank you. And I mean this sincerely. Thank you for trusting me with your minds. That is the most powerful thing ever that perhaps most educators do not realize. Is that your students, oh God, sorry y'all, I'm a waterhead, that your students trust you with their minds. And that is not something that I take for granted. That is not something that I would jump on live and even begin to play around with, because I understand the very real psychological processes that we as a people are in. And if you've taken nothing else from this live, please take away from this live that if you are Black in this chat, oh God, sorry y'all, I'm emotional AF, I'm sorry. That if you are Black and in this chat, there is nothing wrong with you. Claim yourself again, start over again, and take strength from those who came before you. I'll see you all next Saturday where we will do this again. Much love to you all. Thank you all so much. Have a great afternoon.